Well, if it is our wonderful podcast listener, the ones that all of us on hams love the most. Dana here to give you a little gentle reminder to hit up our friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning and tune up that AC before it fully turns into crotch soup season. June through August are Standard's busy season for getting AC units up to snuff, so get ahead of the curve and have them ensure you don't have a summer where you pit out every shirt you own. Book in May during their pre-summer heat savings event, and you'll beat the rush and save yourself some walking around money. Call Standard Heating today or visit standardheating.com. Enjoy the show. We sincerely appreciate you checking us out each and every day.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93X.
Hey, Mr. Peterson, what's the story?
Boy meets beer, boy drinks beer, boy gets another beer.
Hey, Norm, how's the world been treating you?
Like a baby treats a diaper.
Sammy, you want to know what I love? Beer, Norm? Yeah, have a quick one. No, Sammy, I love that stool. If there's a heaven, I don't want to go there unless my stool is waiting for me. And I'll tell you what, even God better not be on it. You wouldn't dare.
Isn't that something? What a damn shame. We welcome you to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. Thanks very much for joining us. One of the most universally loved and recognizable television characters of all time, the oversized and underworked Norman Peterson. From, of course, the all-time great sitcom Cheers. Sad to say that the actor who played Norm, George Wendt, has passed smooth away at, 76 years old?
76. That's too bad. He was one of the more likable characters of all time, too. And it's nostalgic for me, well, for a lot of people who watched Cheers growing up, but my uncles would watch it with us. And I had an uncle who looked and acted just like him.
Oh,
so
that's
much
so awesome.
When he walked in the room, we'd all scream Norm.
Oh, I love that.
Cheers, 1982 to 1993. Some say the best show ever.
Best finale ever, you hear people say quite a bit.
Oh, without a doubt.
Oh, it was wonderful. And Norm was maybe, I think I have this correct, maybe the only character to appear in every episode.
Yep.
Is that a true story?
That's a fact.
I thought I had heard that along the way. That final three-part episode, I think. The final was a three-parter, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a long time. We're going back to 1993 here. Oh, one more question for you real quick. Is this true? So yesterday when George Wendt, unfortunately, died, he died on the anniversary of the final episode of Cheers.
I haven't heard that.
Okay. From what I was told yesterday.
I'm wearing a shirt from it right now. It says May 20th, 1993.
Oh, May 20th. Okay, so yesterday was May 20th. So George died on the anniversary of the last episode of Cheers. You're wearing a T-shirt that, what are you talking about?
It's a shirt that says, from the actual finale that they handed out in Boston. It's a collector's item, I guess. Cheers, last call, May 20th, 1993. It's got the logo on and everything. I got a lot of Cheers souvenirs from over the years.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that is cool.
That's an old-ass T-shirt.
This is an old-ass T-shirt, yeah.
However many years ago 1993 was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he did pass on the anniversary of the last episode.
I didn't know that until I looked down at the shirt I was wearing.
Anyway, great program, great characters, and Norm was one of the favorites. Easily one of the favorites for Cheers fans. That program was like a security blanket for folks my age. And watching the show today makes me feel good. It always did, but when I watch it today, it makes me think of some of the great times in my life. I was young. I had my whole miserable life ahead of me. And back to the final episode, which again, if my memory serves me correct, was a three-parter.
Mm-hmm. One for the road, they called it.
Right. I remember very vividly at the time I was working at a warehouse in Hamel, Minnesota. A lot like Boston. Hamel, Minnesota.
Yeah, definitely.
Working a night shift at a warehouse in Hamel. Only like 5, 6 of us on the night crew. Big old mixing vats roaring and derelicts like myself scurrying around. What we did, if you're curious, was we made massive batches of ceiling texture and wall texture and tapeless joint compound. That's what we would create every night in these massive, dangerous vats. And on May 20th, 1993, I'm doing my thing over there, mixing up some kind of dangerous swill, and I notice that the machine next to me turns off. And a machine on the other side of the warehouse turns off. And these machines ran 24 hours a day. And suddenly I look around and I realize I'm the only one working. So I shut my machine off and I walk into the office, and all the rest of the derelicts are sitting in the break room. And I said, well, what the hell's going on here? And one of the guys said, it's a final episode of Cheers, dude. And so we shut down the warehouse and sat and watched. I think it was 2 hours. We took 2 hours off work that night to sit and watch the final episode of Cheers, and then went back with tears in our eyes.
Of course. Nobody was missing their ceiling textures that day. It was well worth the 2 hours you guys took off that night.
I was lucky enough to see the Cheers bar earlier this month. We drove by it, and our conductor on those duck boats, he pointed out there's the Cheers bar, and it was really cool to get a chance to see that.
That is sweet, Josh.
Did it look like it did on television from the outside?
Yeah, it's when you're going by like 30 miles an hour, it did.
There's a downstairs entrance.
That's what it looked like. So I didn't get a close-up view, but we got a chance to see it.
Did George Wendt stay active after Cheers?
A little bit.
I don't remember seeing much from him afterwards, and I'm not criticizing the man, because if I were him, I would have done nothing.
You don't remember him in one of your favorite movies, Spice World?
I don't remember
Spice
him.
Girls?
I do.
Yeah, he was in a lot of stuff that, I mean, he did like one episode here or a cameo there.
Oh, okay.
He did a lot of theater work.
Okay.
He had his own show a couple of years after Cheers, the George Wendt show. I think it lasted under 10 episodes. I didn't watch.
He didn't play Norm, did he?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't watch it. They called it the George Wendt show, so I'm guessing not.
Okay.
I was kind of surprised. I wasn't a regular watcher of the Cheers spinoff Frasier.
Oh, God, I love that one.
And I was surprised he was only in one episode. And that ran for a long time, too.
You know, like I was about to say, if I were him, I wouldn't have done a damn thing. I mean, he made a fortune as Norm.
That would never work again.
You sit back after it's all said and done and realize, my damn, I was just part of what might go down in history as the greatest sitcom of all time. I would have done nothing. So he got involved in this and that. I mean, good for him. I would have done nothing.
Yeah, it was just one-offs here and there, it looked like.
I don't think it looked like a thing that he worked when he wanted to, or he thought something might sound fun.
He showed up on the Goldbergs once. I liked that show.
Ooh, love the Goldbergs.
Of course, the Bears skits back on Saturday Night Live. I loved those. I thought he was so funny in those.
Listener says he came to New Ulm a few times for Oktoberfest. Is that a fact?
God, imagine having a beer and you look over and there's George Wendt sitting next to you on the bar stool.
He'd be a guy that'd be fun to have a beer with, for sure.
Ask Me About CrossFit Jesus said that Sam and Carla also appeared in every episode. Okay, I'll go along with that. Favorite Cheers character? Go. And you can have more than one answer because there's so many great characters
Norm
to choose
and Woody.
from.
Well,
Cliff.
I also like Cliff a lot.
Yeah, definitely
Because I
Cliff.
had an
hands down.
uncle that was just like, you know my uncle. My Uncle Tom is very Cliff Clavin-like.
I can absolutely see the comparison.
So he would get crap from
So
his
cute.
brothers as he was Cliff Clavin.
Your Uncle Tom spits out a lot of facts that are iffy.
Yeah, where you kind of wonder, is that a real thing?
Yeah, very much like Cliff Clavin. He had a lot of so-called facts he wanted to share, and they all came out iffy. Dana, with the T-shirt and everything, you're obviously a big fan. Go ahead
and guess.
You appear to be the biggest Cheers dork.
I'm a pretty big Cheers dork, yeah.
You're the biggest dork when it comes to a lot of different categories.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make you pick one, because if you're that dialed into the history of the show that, my God, you've got a T-shirt from the final episode, I'm going to make you pick one.
I'd go Sammy Mayday Malone.
Yeah?
He was just so cool.
Yeah, definitely cool.
You know, I mean, it's the easy pick. He's, main character and stuff. He's the protagonist, but obviously loved everybody. I mean, that's the whole thing. The show is just such an ensemble. Everybody just played their part so well, but there's something so cool about Sammy Mayday, especially when I was watching that show growing up. I'm like, man, that dude just got that. As the kids would say, Josh, the Riz.
Yeah, he was dripping with Riz. He's the Rizzler. He has a degree from Rizzle University. How about that Kirstie Alley, though? Hubba.
I was
more of a Diane guy.
Were you really?
Mm-hmm.
I like Diane.
She was just kind of mean.
Mean?
Yeah, I always thought she was just cold, Diane, more than anything.
I had, as a 17, 18, 19-year-old guy, I had a deep, dark lust for Kirstie Alley. I did. There was something about her vibe in the late 80s into the early 90s that drove me crazy.
She played that boss character so well in Cheers, running the bar, not taking any crap from Sam.
I just thought she was the sexiest thing
I did too
in the world for a couple of years. Ashley, I know you got into the show a couple years ago. I thought it was you decided to watch it from start to finish.
Yeah, I did.
So you gotta
I
have
absolutely
it.
Loved it.
You watched You watched the whole series?
Yeah, it was
that's
incredible.
Great.
Yeah.
I remember we talked about it a couple years ago about the entire series and the final episode, and I said, sorry, we're closed. And you almost started to cry. So you have to have a favorite character or two.
Oh, it's Cliff.
Okay.
Yeah, easily.
God, and
I just
Coach,
love him.
I mean,
he's adorable.
Yeah, I agree.
Coach.
It's so tough to pick.
Yeah, it is. Personally, I would say, well, okay, it's not tough for me. My favorite Cheers character of all time is Frasier. Brilliant portrayal by Kelsey Grammer. There were so many layers to Frasier that I thought were friggin' hilarious. He was this genius. What was his occupation again? Therapist. But also he could be very childish. And just everything about Kelsey Grammer's portrayal of that character was friggin' perfect. Frasier, for me, number one. But I got a couple of dark horses that I would lump into those favorite characters.
Can I guess one?
Go ahead.
Harry the Hat.
No, I never. That's funny you bring that up. I'd also like to ask you your least favorite Cheers character, because Harry Anderson as Harry the Hat always friggin' annoyed me.
Oh, really? I always found him funny.
What about Nick Tortelli? He was awesome.
That was one of the dark horses I was going to throw your way as an all-time favorite Cheers character. Nick Tortelli. I forget the actor's name.
Dan something.
Dan Derma.
Haida.
Paserma. He was friggin' incredible. And also Nick Tortelli's new wife, Loretta. She friggin' cracked me up all the time. As far as least favorite characters for me, Eddie LeBeck did nothing for that program.
You didn't like that one?
No. I mean, again, you got to understand, he wasn't bad. There were very, very few characters on Cheers where I said, okay, this was totally unnecessary. And wow, are we coming off like a bunch of dorks right now, but I don't care. I love this friggin' show, and so many people love the show. Eddie LeBeck, played by Jay Thomas, just never really caught on for me. He didn't add much.
I have a dark horse attraction on that show. I really was attracted to Lilith. I don't know what it was, but she exuded something that...
What do you mean you don't know what it was? She was absolutely stunning.
Well, she's not some... Everybody's going to say, like we talked about, they're going to say Kirstie Alley, or they're going to say Shelley Long, but for whatever reason, she was something else.
I was never attracted to Shelley Long for more than... Shelley Long absolutely did nothing for me. Lilith, played by Bebe Neuwirth, is that her name?
Yep.
She was gorgeous and a brilliant character. And I got to say, one more note on least favorite character. I'm sorry to do this to you, Dana, but the first few seasons of Sam Malone, he was boring.
You didn't like him?
No, and I understand it takes a while to establish the character. When they really embraced the dumb jock, Sam Malone, his character shot through the roof. But in the early couple of seasons, he was just kind of But anyway, we're sad about the passing of George Wendt, other than when, what was Ernie Pantuzzo?
Coach.
Nicholas Colasanto, the actor. He died while the program was still active.
Yep.
This George has got to be the first of that core to go.
Yeah.
Other than when Coach Ernie Pantuzzo, Nicholas Colasanto, when he died so early in the program, George Wendt's got to be the first one to go then, aside from that.
Of the regulars, absolutely.
Right. Oh, man.
That's too bad.
Yeah, that bummed me out yesterday.
Oh, yeah. How could it not?
Yeah.
Man. When Nick Tortelli would walk onto the scene, just knuckles dragging on the friggin' floor, and he would say something like, hello, everybody.
He was great.
Yeah.
And the way he dressed. I mean,
Oh, he's just
everything
disgusting. Chest hair pouring on the top of his eyebrows are longer than the hair on his head. It's
Looking greasy as hell.
I loved it. I friggin' love it. All right. Speaking of the happiest bar in Boston, Cheers. Today is National Waitstaff Day. Carla Tortelli, Diane Chambers, former members of the Cheers waitstaff. Today, National Waitstaff Day is supposed to honor servers, bartenders, and baristas to thank them for dealing with so many jack-offs, which is what they do on a daily basis.
And it seems more so than ever.
It's a shame they have to deal with so many.
It is.
Smashley, you used to wait tables and such. BuzzFeed.
Those were dark days, yeah.
Let's ask Smashley.
Oh, you know what? We forgot that Kirstie Alley passed away a few years ago.
Oh, yes, I did. Sorry.
That slipped my mind.
Yeah, it slipped mine, too. BuzzFeed recently polled thousands of current and former servers to ask them some questions. You want to answer these questions for us, Smashley?
Yeah, sure.
Honestly, for once?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right. As a former waitstaff member, have you ever eaten food off a customer's plate?
Yes.
I've seen it. Working in restaurants, I've seen servers do that, certainly. And
Yeah.
we had a dishwasher that was infamous for that.
It was very normal.
I remember actually you saying that before, that it was just kind of, some extra fries, why not?
Yep.
We had a giant pig bucket, we called it, and it was just basically a big garbage can, and there was farmers that would come grab it. It had all the food waste.
Right.
And there was, whenever I worked with this particular dishwasher, I did the same. I loved that job, by the way. He would make sure and tell people, no, just set it over there. I'll finish that. What he was like, he was his own pig bucket.
There were no stipulations like it had to have been untouched or no bites out of it, or he would just eat anything.
Oh, it didn't matter. Yeah, whatever was left over.
That would. I don't think I could do that.
I thought it was kind of gross just because you don't know who it was. You know?
Right.
But
right. Some guy sneezed on a sandwich, and then you know.
That was his thing.
Ashley, did you have stipulations when it came to eating food off of other folks' plates?
It would only be like fries.
Okay.
Fries or some type of chip.
Sure.
Nothing too intricate.
And I mean, you're
somebody's hamburger.
Not
or
finishing
something.
off somebody's rib, a little bit left on it, like,
No.
Oh, yuck.
a little bit of the carcass left on a chicken
Gross.
wing. My God.
No, ew.
So I understand it. Maybe you didn't eat enough before you started your shift. You're racing around the damn room. You're working. You're starving.
Yep.
You got to have something. Okay. Have you ever dated or hooked up with a cook?
No.
Oh.
They were
What?
always older.
Yeah, what's
older
wrong with
than
that?
me.
What's wrong with being
I
older
bite
than
quite a bit.
you? Oh.
That it's a little surprising because that's the one thing I noticed. Everybody was having sex with everybody when I worked in restaurants. It was like a revolving door because sometimes people wouldn't last too long. They'd show up. They'd all make love. Maybe somebody got pregnant or an STD, something like
They
that.
would all make
wow.
love?
All of them. It was wild.
What was your batting average?
Oh, I didn't do too well.
so not everybody.
Well, all but maybe one or two of us. There was one girl, but I wasn't interested. She was a little too aggressive.
I haven't had that experience yet.
Working in a restaurant?
No, where there was a girl where I wasn't interested. 25% of current and former servers have hooked up with a cook.
That's shockingly low to me.
They didn't care if the guy was a great deal older.
I heard the cooks are the ones that always can get you drugs, too.
Yeah, they can.
Is that right?
I guess, yeah.
The cooks will get you the dope.
Yeah,
There's at least one.
That's what
usually.
my friends in the service industry tell me. The cooks always have the best drugs.
All right, Ashley.
Nick, you and I, you know one of the coolest dudes of all time, and he was a cook, our friend Marcel. He was a cook and one of the coolest people I've ever met in my entire life.
I love you, Marcel.
Yeah, me too. Talk about Riz.
Nothing but Riz, whatever that is. This is a stupid one. Have you ever come into work sick or hungover?
Oh, yeah.
See, now, hungover, go ahead. Come to work.
Yeah.
But I don't want a wait staff member coming to work if they're spitting bird flu all over my fish tacos.
Somebody
Don't go in
sneezed on
sick.
my couscous.
Yeah.
What's going on?
But you had to. You got to make a few bucks, right?
Yeah.
So you'd come into work sick and just try not to spit on the fish tacos?
Yep, I try.
Have you ever finished a customer's alcoholic beverage? Like Spalding in Caddyshack?
No, I don't think so, actually.
Oh. I thought maybe you'd take a sip off of somebody's Bacardi Coke just to try to keep the good vibes going.
No, maybe if, like, I'm making a mixed drink and then there's leftover in whatever I mixed it in, then I'll drink that, but I'll never, like, take somebody's drink that they were drinking on.
Didn't you have a story, Ashley, about somebody who would drink kind of all the spillage?
Oh, yeah, she said she did that.
Oh, that was you that did it.
Yep.
Okay.
I still don't fully believe you.
It's not that gross. I guess, I don't know. I didn't really think about everything else that
Was it just the one time?
touches the outside. Huh?
Was it the one time?
Yeah.
Or was it just the one time?
We're quizzing Smashley as a former waitstaff member here on National Waitstaff Day. Have you ever given someone free food or a free drink because you thought they were cute?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Free drink, yeah.
You ever sneak off to the bathroom and pretend like you were taking a poop, but all you wanted to do was take a break?
No.
Well, 88% of former waitstaff members said yes, they pretended to take a poop so they could just sit in the bathroom and take a break.
I don't like being in the bathroom for that long.
Oh, I like being in the bathroom. When I was working warehouse gigs, like I was explaining to you earlier, almost every day I'd pretend like I had some kind of gastrointestinal problem. Oh, God, I got to go to the bathroom again.
Well, you probably did at that time.
No, I
didn't you?
did. No. I mean, obviously, if I had to, I would go. But I would pretend like I had a bad stomach quite often so I could just sit in the bathroom and avoid work for a while. It's the American way. Have you ever retaliated against a rude customer? They gave you a little lip in the bar, so then, I don't know, 2 days later, you found out their address and slashed their tires or something like that.
Oh, geez, that's drastic.
Retaliated.
I guess I have told the kitchen before, especially when I first started, like, hey, this customer sucks. They're awful. I don't know what they did, but...
Put a little spooge in there for me.
Oh,
figured they did
my
something.
God. Yuck.
It says here, half of servers have retaliated in some way against a rude customer, but they wouldn't say how. You know what that says to me? What word comes to mind, Josh?
Well, spit.
Spooge. What?
Well, I was going to say spit would be...
You don't need to know.
That's
Jeez.
easier to produce, just on the spot.
Well, maybe for you.
Well, you're pretty good at that. All right, go.
And here you go.
One coming up.
1,000, and here you go.
One spooge coming up. I mentioned before in 6th grade there was a brother-sister combo. They could throw up on command, and they were legendary. And they didn't have to put their fingers down their throat, nothing. They could just kind of like do something. They had some condition, which I forget what it's called, and they could both do it. And the guy, he was the one we were friends with, I'm pretty sure he's got to be dead by now. If he kept doing this because we would ask him to do it over and over and over and over again.
Well, even if I had that skill, you could ask me over and over and over and over again, and I would say no.
Well, if you're in 6th grade with the amount of attention he got, like I said, he was legitimately a superstar because of that.
It sounds very unpleasant.
Makes me think of the old WWF wrestler Draws. Do you remember him?
Yes!
His whole gimmick was that he could puke on command and he'd carry a bucket down to the ring with him. So during that 90s stretch where Vince McMahon just had some of the dumbest ideas, and everybody had to have some type of quirk to him, or,
I hated it.
It was bad.
Out of curiosity, how old was he in the 90s? I wonder if this was my friend.
About 21.
Yeah.
Then no.
It was a terrible ending for that guy, too. I did not enjoy that bit. I liked him even less when he made some cameos on Cheers. A lot of folks don't remember that Draws from the WWE made a few. I'm kidding, of course.
I couldn't pick him out of a lineup, so I wouldn't know.
All right. If you were just tuning in, we're all saddened by the passing of George Wendt, who, of course, played Norm on Cheers. And we're all fans of the show, so we fired up the Wayback Machine and had a few strolls down memory lane there. What's going on today, for God's sake? What day is it today? Wednesday?
Today's Wednesday. Yep. We'll get to hear from Brad and Randy on their thoughts of last night's Timberwolves game. I'm looking forward to that. Brad usually sends kind of a soliloquy at night. He'll text about every single play. He didn't do that last night.
No, he's probably playing with the wife or something.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like that once-a-year bumping of uglies that they do. One splooge that has just been conjured.
God help us. The Wolves game last night sucked eggs. Sure, we'll talk to those boys a little bit later. We'll take a break. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll get to the Stupid News Report.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Well, if it isn't our wonderful podcast listener, the ones that all of us on Hams love the most. Dana here to give you a little gentle reminder to hit up our friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning and tune up that AC before it fully turns into crotch soup season. June through August are Standard's busy season for getting AC units up to snuff, so get ahead of the curve and have them ensure you don't have a summer where you pit out every shirt you own. Book in May during their pre-summer heat savings event, and you'll beat the rush and save yourself some walking around money. Call Standard Heating today or visit standardheating.com. Enjoy the show. We sincerely appreciate you checking us out each and every day.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
No Contest Wrestling. O'Shea Jackson Jr. and TJ Jefferson with the biggest names in the game.
Give it up for the Dark Angel.
First one.
First.
I can believe it.
NXT double champion. Welcome to King, Lexus King.
I don't know if I'd be where I'm at now if I didn't take the path that I took.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jada Parker. What made you, after the soccer career, go WWE?
The answer I always have to that is why not?
The No Contest Wrestling Podcast, part of the Rich Eisen Podcast Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Stupid news on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
I received what do you call them, Josh? A text message. Yeah, I received a text message already this morning from a feller out there by the name of IPA Beer Belly Jesus. And the message goes like this. What's up, sluts?
I like it when they start with something insulting.
And Ashley, it says.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of them are like that, by the way, Ashley, if you didn't already know. They'll say something disparaging about the rest of us, but then they'll throw you as a separate category.
That's nice.
It's the polite way to go about it. IPA Beer Belly Jesus says, today's my ultimate F-off day. And by tomorrow, I'll be in Arizona, poolside, with a tall beer and not a care in the world. I just thought you guys should know. Smiley face.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, bro.
That sounds nice.
Get her done.
Mm-hmm.
We're 2 days away from our ultimate F-off day. We're not coming to work next week.
Glad you're getting out early. That sounds like a perfect day.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near Arizona, though. Been there once. Josh, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you like college-age blonde women with really, really, really short jean skirts?
I can't say that I've ever been interested in something like that.
If you ever take a liking to such a thing, the place to go is Arizona.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was in a town called Slutsdale. No, that doesn't sound right to me. Scottsdale. I was in a town called Scottsdale, Arizona.
I had a couple friends flunk out of ASU because of their love of the college women with blonde hair and very, very short jean skirts.
Is that right?
Yeah, they never went to class.
They were everywhere.
I mean, I saw the Grand Canyon, so I kind of saw a couple of millimeters of Arizona.
The Grand Canyon?
I was on the Nevada side.
All right.
Josh with binoculars trying to see into Arizona.
Hey, that's Arizona. Who's that handsome guy with the tall beer in his hand?
Earlier this morning, we were talking about the passing of George Wendt, who portrayed Norman Peterson on the all-time great sitcom Cheers. We were all reminiscing about the show. All of us are fans. Yesterday, George passed away at 76 years old, in case you hadn't heard. And we got into the conversation of our favorite Cheers characters. And thank you so much to this listener for texting this in. I had forgotten, at least temporarily, about this great Cheers character. The listener says, I can't remember the guy's name, but the big fat guy who always wore suspenders and would sit on the same side of the bar as Norm and Cliff. And the character he's describing was called Paul. And I'm so glad this listener brought up the character Paul, because he was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And I don't blame Cheers fans even for temporarily forgetting about Paul. One of my favorite moments from a Cheers episode involved Paul. If you remember his character, he would always miss out. That was kind of his gimmick.
Kind of a sad sack.
He'd go into the bathroom to take a leak. Something incredible would happen in the bar, and then Paul would come back and say, what did I miss? That was kind of his thing. A very skilled actor. He was very, very funny. There was one particular episode that I thought was just brilliant. Dana, you being the perceived Cheers dork here, do you remember the scene where Paul was really close to coming out as gay? And this was so well done. Throughout the entire episode, whenever Paul was about to say something, everyone in the bar would go, just hang on a second, Paul, we're dealing with something over here, right? And then 4 minutes later, he'd say, you know what, I got some definite thoughts on that. And someone would say, Paul, no, we're involved with this over here. Can it wait? Right. So all show long, he keeps getting shut down. At the end of the show, I believe they're at Frasier's apartment. All the main characters sitting around watching television or something. And Paul comes into the room and he says, you know what, now that I finally have everyone together and things have calmed down, there's something I got to say to you guys. And they say, yeah, what's that, Paul? And he says, I'm not directly quoting, but it was roughly like this. He says, I've been going back and forth on this for weeks, but, now that my mother has died, I'm going to go for it. He puts his hands on his hips and he goes, world. And then someone says, hang on, Paul, the show's starting again. And he does it. God, that was brilliant. World.
Poor Paul.
All right, on to the stupid news. Ski. Nut shots are a funny thing. And what I mean by that, taking a shot to the pills, a nut shot is a funny thing. The reason I say that, why is it, Josh, when it happens to another dude, it's the greatest damn thing you've ever seen?
I don't know. It's so terrible when it happens to you.
But when it happens to you, you're sure you're about to walk into the light and pass away, And if anybody laughs, you make a plan to kill them at a later date.
Right. Even though you would laugh in their position.
Right. It's a very inconsistent mindset.
People used to joke that America's Funniest Home Videos should have been called America's Funniest Shots to the Nuts. It's usually a kid taking out dad.
Those were the best videos, too.
They always were. And if
they were going to win.
I'm with you on that. If an episode didn't have one of those scenes, it was just a wasted episode.
Exactly.
You had to have that back in the day, all the cameras that would catch these things in real life. Yeah, I got hit in the nuts quite a few times by dog tails or kids, you know. There was one in particular that could have made that video.
And everybody in the room laughs their ass off.
Oh, yeah, everybody thinks it's funny. Guys, girls, everybody.
And right in the nuts. That was beautiful.
When it happens to someone else, my damn, the entertainment. When it happens to you, I mean, you'll choke somebody out if they found it funny.
See, I'm in pain, obviously, but I respect that other people find it funny.
It kind of depends on how it happened and how bad it was.
Yeah, my dog got my fiance the other day when he was like picking her up to do something, and I knew better than to say anything. I just sat there quietly.
I remember where I was the first time I realized you could get hit in the nuts from behind, and maybe that's an age thing because it never happened to me when I was younger. It only happened to me a few years ago.
Oh, you didn't watch much 90s wrestling growing up then?
They would go from... didn't they go from underneath,
Underneath,
though?
yeah.
I'm just talking about from behind, you know, maybe just as gravity takes them down. I had no idea that could happen.
The older I get, the more testicular sympathy I have. The older I get, the more empathy I have for another man's balls and pecker. If I see a fellow bro take a stiff shot to the rod, I feel for a player. When I was a young kid, no way. I had no sympathy for another.
I hold my laughter in now, but I'm laughing on the inside.
But when you were younger, you wanted to see total annihilation.
Oh, absolutely.
You had no sympathy for another man's gear. In the worst state that our country has to offer, a derelict, drunken moron turned a cop's pills into dust. And this one has me pissed. Again, because of my more mature and sympathetic feelings on nutshots. And plus, this was just also ridiculous and unnecessary. A 32-year-old gal was arrested for refusing to pay her tab at a neighborhood steakhouse. And that wasn't all, obviously. Cops were called to a joint called Mark's Prime Steakhouse. And there sat a drunken little brat by the name of Rachel King. She was refusing to pay her tab, which was pert near $100. One of the cops got this little pain in the ass to walk outside the bar and take a seat on the patio. And this gal had every opportunity to squash this and go home if she wanted to. There were even people at the bar willing to help this little moron pay her tab, probably because they wanted to get in her pants. They were gonna Venmo her this and transfer that, right?
Yeah.
There were people saying, look, I'll help you out. And that, like Ashley said, that's very nice. But no, this Rachel Numbskull still wanted to be obstinate about the situation. At one point, entitled drunken little Rachel gave one of the cops permission to go through her cell phone to help transfer some money around in order to pay her tab. But quicker than a hiccup, stupid-ass Rachel got all agitated again. Word is she snatched her phone out the cop's hand, and then she, quote, cocked her right fist as far back as she could and punched the cop in his bag. And the poor bastard collapsed down onto the ground like a child.
Can't blame him.
Not cool.
That's what you get for trying to help someone out these days, Josh. As a law enforcement officer, as a policeman officer.
Ashley, I don't know how much you know about getting hit in the nuts or if you've ever been hitting yours. But a lot of times, it takes a few seconds for your brain to realize what happened. You understand immediately that I just got hit in the nuts, but for the nausea and then the pain, that's just, it's all in your stomach. Mm-hmm. Just shows up out of nowhere.
You're kind of out of breath a little bit all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah, it's a slow burn. Mm-hmm. You're looking around to see if anybody noticed. This person said, my life changed the first time I rolled over them getting into my truck. I've had that happen, too, where you sit on them and you feel like a fool.
Right, or the toilet seat, that's the worst.
That's a wake-up call the first time you sit on your own nuts.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you were saying a shot from behind, you didn't think it was possible. I didn't think it was possible to sit on my own nuts. And the first time I did it, I said, what has happened to my life?
A person here says they caught one from behind once, and it was worse. They were on the ground for a solid 5 minutes, and yes, all my stupid head friends were laughing their stupid heads off.
Josh, earlier you had mentioned America's Funniest Home Videos, which, of course, was hosted by Bob Saget for so long. Made me think of this great line from The Roast of Bob Saget, rest in peace, of course, when they used to do those great Comedy Central roasts. And John Stamos, his best friend, was the roast master. And he had this great line about America's Funniest Home Videos. And he says, Bob did that show for so long, he can't get a boner unless he gets whacked in the balls with a wiffle ball bat.
The wiffle ball bat took out a lot of them. That's what got me once. Hot Cocoa Jesus said, I gave my guy a nut shot yesterday completely by accident. It just happens. I felt like a terrible, horrible human being, but I laughed anyway. It is funny.
All you can do is laugh.
Back to this gal who punched a cop in the pills after multiple officers drummed on her skull with their batons. She was placed under arrest, and she's looking at a charge of battery on a law enforcement officer. So long, idiot.
That's low.
Back to Cheers real quick. People have been texting in a lot about the sitcom Cheers with the unfortunate news of George Wendt passing yesterday. Someone texted in, and again, one of these characters that I don't know how, even temporarily, I forgot about. This Cheers character. They simply asked, how does everyone on the program feel about the Cheers character, Kelly?
Oh, Kelly.
I mean, one of the most stunning, beautiful actresses I've ever seen, and she played that role absolutely perfectly. I loved Kelly in many, many different ways.
I love the song about her.
Yeah, I'm looking for that right now.
I figured you were.
Great
The
song.
lyrics are tough to remember.
They are. Because it was so well written.
Song I wrote for you. Now, I should tell you right up front that I'm not really a professional singer. I'm more of a vocal stylist. Kelly, my darling, you are my sunshine. We're together, I feel fine. Your smile is so lovely, your hair is so clean. You make me feel that the whole world is mine. Kelly, 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 Kelly. Kelly, 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 K-E-L-L-Y. Why? Because you're Kelly, 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 Kelly of mine.
Unbelievable songwriting.
It's a beautiful tune.
Doesn't bring a tear to your eye. I don't know what will.
Woodrow Tiberius Boyd. My favorite Kelly scene from Cheers was one episode. Woody is up in her bedroom, and he cracks open one of her closet doors, and he says, "Wow, you got a lot of Barbie dolls." And she did. She had like hundreds of Barbie dolls in there. And Woody says, "Well, how come so many of them, the heads are missing?" And Kelly says, because she was just this childish little character, Kelly says, "Sometimes I get mad."
They were perfect together.
They really were.
And while we were talking about
good
the
casting.
We were talking about the character Paul a minute ago. A listener, Air Filter Jesus, texted in and said his favorite Paul moment from Cheers was there was a scene where everyone was at Frasier's house, and Lilith, Frasier's wife, was upset that, the doorbell rings, it's Sam. She lets Sam in. 2 minutes later, the doorbell rings, it's Norm and Cliff. She lets them in. 2 minutes later, it's
Carla
and Rebecca. So Lilith's getting burned out on this. And, at one point or another, the doorbell rings, and she opens the door, and it's Paul. Sad Paul, And Lilith says, Paul, are you alone? And Paul says, What's that supposed to mean?
I looked him up. He's from Minnesota, the actor Paul Wilson.
Yeah, I kind of left that out.
Oh, okay. I thought we were having fun.
Oh.
Right?
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I'm actually proud of our state. I like Minnesota stories. I know you sometimes tend to hate Minnesota for whatever reason.
You know me. I always...
What's wrong with that information?
I just get tired of that gimmick. That's all. It's not your fault.
I wasn't saying, oh, my God, we shouldn't. I just thought that was an interesting fact about the actor.
It's not your fault. Where you might go with this one, our next stupid news story, probably depends on who you are and how erect you get over politics. A candidate running for something called state assembly in the state of New Jersey, she is selling pictures of her feet online so guys with a foot fetish can rub one out.
I've heard more and more women in my life. It started, I think, as a joke, saying, I'm going to put my feet on Feet Finder or Foot Finder, whatever it is. And
yeah, you're right, Feet Finder.
And some of them, I think, are kind of becoming serious about it. I had one of them just say the pros and cons just over the weekend about putting their feet on Feet Finder.
But they haven't taken that step yet?
To the best of my knowledge.
Okay. Well, I mean...
You do eventually, right?
You go through with it?
I mean,
I imagine so.
Can you really make any real money just showing your feet?
I don't know. They even looked up the most popular feet and described how their feet fall into those categories of high arches, narrow.
Sure.
You got to do some soul searching before you do something like that.
I'm not a foot person. I don't get involved at all in such a thing. I'm just curious. Can you really just make money showing your feet online? To me, knowing a thing or two about online pornography, there's got to be something else. You got to be putting that foot in something. You've got to be adding some other part of your body. All right, but I don't know. I'm not a foot. This gal who's running for, again, some boring political chair in New Jersey, she goes by the name of Rebecca Holloway. You can see her sexy, sexy feet. Josh said it already on a porn site called Feet Finders. And on the website, she has a quote up there for her fans where she says she wants to, quote, hear your naughty fantasies and help you make them come true. And her spelling of the word come has been altered, of course.
Nice touch.
Oh, she had a typo?
No, it was intentional.
That'd be quite the typo.
Rebecca, again, running for some legislative district gig. She's been legally selling pictures of her little piggies for the last 2 years. But there's got to be something else, right? Says here, the website is not considered traditional pornography and instead caters to the fetish market, if that means anything to you.
Septum Ring Jesus said a friend sold her feet pics, made about $2,000.
But just feet?
Yeah, I've never been on Feet Finder, but as far as I understand,
and her naked ass, and her vagina, and a masturbation video, and
yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I have a friend. I haven't asked for updates in years, but she told me, and I saw it. A guy hit her up on Instagram and said, "I'll pay for your weekly, monthly pedicures if you send me pictures of your feet." So she gets Venmo from the guy, she gets pedicures, and just snaps a couple pictures of her feet, and she's done with it.
Doesn't she worry about the guy knowing her name and all that kind of stuff?
See, that's the thing.
That's what I mean. That's what I'd worry. Like, maybe it's not, they're into feet, but maybe it's more than that.
Yeah.
Maybe they're more into sneaking into your bedroom at night and amputating those feet.
Bringing those feet home.
Making a necklace out of your toes.
Yeah, that's what crosses my mind too, Josh.
They want to
constantly masturbating.
Take the skin off of your feet and put them on their own feet.
Yep.
Where they want to deglove your feet.
This gal charges $5 a month for photos of her dogs. On her Feet Finder page, she says, after being a good girl for so long, I'm in my slutty era.
Oh, wonderful.
She also says this, Ashley, and this is obnoxious to me. Flirting is my superpower.
Yeah, that's a turnoff right there.
Shut up.
When anybody says something like that.
Shut the hell up. You don't have a superpower. None of us do. She also says, DM me for socks and panty purchases. So anyway, that's her thing. And she's also a politician. So some of you are likely appalled by that. Some of you couldn't give a pump.
There's a guy that said he made some money on Feet Finder. So I guess.
What's the rest of the joke?
Oh, that was it.
Guy's feet made money?
Yeah, I guess there's people into guys' feet, too. I always pictured it just exclusively female thing.
So did I, and my feet are such corn barrels, discolored, rotting corn barrels. I just can't imagine that, but I know that not all guys' feet are in as terrible shape as mine.
Well, if anyone ever got turned on by Fred Flintstone's feet, the cartoon, The Flintstones,
bless you.
and bless you, by the way.
Fred Flintstone's feet.
And because I have essentially 10-inch 2x4s down there that with kind of gross toes.
Yeah, you got square feet.
Just a chunky foot, if anybody's into that.
Sponge Josh, square foot.
Pretty much.
I don't know, you think your toes are gross? Your toes aren't gross. I'll show you gross toes. What time is it? Again with this. We were just talking last week about how the English are still tripping over World War II weaponry everywhere they go, even today, 80-some years after World War II ended. This time around, we could do this every week, this time around, a clueless little kid upped and brought a damn grenade to school for show and tell. So let me paint the picture here for you. The kid walked up on a stage with the grenade in hand for show and tell to show the entire school. Everyone runs for their lives. The school was evacuated. The Army bomb squad kicks in the doors. They put the kid down with a tranq dart to the neck, and they were able to determine that the grenade was no longer active. Just thunk, they got him, and the kid goes down.
Oh, my gosh. Terrible.
When the kid took the tranq dart to the throat, he dropped the grenade. One of the teachers then grabbed up the grenade, ran outside with it, and put it behind a large tree in case it gave way. That took some balls on her part, huh?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, her superpower, she's a bit of a hero and a protector.
My superpower is flirting.
I bet it's not. I bet she's not very good at flirting.
Oh, she's bad at it, yeah.
Really awkward in real life.
Who talks that way about themselves? Okay, sorry. We shouldn't get off track with it because this is a very dramatic story. The teacher by the name of Mrs. Hart said it was quite an eventful assembly, she said, about the child bringing the grenade to the... According to the story, the grenade that the little kid snatched up and brought to school was a family heirloom. He took it without telling his folks. Mrs. Hart said she had a chat with the boy after he regained consciousness. She said, it was entirely innocent. I don't think he ever really knew what it was that he had in his hand.
We had the same kid. He brought in a rifle once. This is middle school, and nobody batted an eye. Obviously, it's very different now.
Right.
And he brought in a grenade as well. It was a relic his grandpa had.
Casual.
And so he had all the cool stuff. And again, nobody batted an eye.
Yeah. Nowadays, the SWAT team had to put him down.
My wife told me about her elementary school talent show they had, end-of-year talent show, and no grenades. Just sounds like a bunch of bad skits and impressions.
But show and tell, though.
Oh, no, talent show. Excuse me.
Yeah, show and tell is, a lot different.
Oh, man.
Do they still do show and tell?
We never did it when I was in school.
I don't think so. I'd have to ask her. I haven't heard about it.
That would be a shame if they had to gas show and tell from your typical grade school, because that was always a fun...
Yeah, there's always some neat stuff.
Fun hour.
We just talked about our weekends. Like if we had something cool to share, we would share that. But
so
we would never bring anything in.
Oh, you never got to bring anything?
Nope.
I wish I could remember any of the gimmicks that I came up with for show and tell, but I can't remember a damn thing.
I can't either. It must not have been that interesting.
Yeah, I must have bored the crowd.
It's kind of focused on some cool things everybody else brought in.
Yeah.
Somebody brought in a taxidermied crow. It was a lady, or a girl, little girl.
A lady.
A lady, yeah. She was not quite a lady yet, young lady.
Some random lady.
Why is she 30?
Yeah.
She shouldn't be in 6th grade.
A grown woman joined show and tell and had a dead bird in her hand.
Angry bus driver Jesus said his kids got show and tell tomorrow, but he won't be letting her bring his deactivated grenade. He knows better. Yeah, you can't do that.
That was just his way of saying, I have a deactivated grenade.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
It's pretty cool.
I think he was being funny. The kid, his grandpa, that I was telling you about the kid that brought in the grenade, his grandpa used it as a paperweight.
This kid that I was just talking about?
No, the kid that I knew.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what. A drug-smuggling cat. I have zero interest in drugs, but I'd love to be the owner of a dope-smuggling cat. If my cat Big Lou had lived longer, I bet he would have smuggled dope for me. If I asked him to. He was the most fearless pimp of a cat there's ever been. But he's gone now, and I miss Big Lou.
Oh, he passed?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I'm sorry. I thought I shared that with you.
Oh, maybe you did. Because I know you guys, another family took him.
Yeah, he had a heart problem.
Oh, that's too bad.
And he died.
He had a good life.
He did. Cops in Costa Rica caught a cat trying to smuggle drugs into a prison last week. They captured the kitty climbing over a fence, and the cat had 236 grams of marijuanas and 68 grams of heroines strapped to its back. And this is cute. Cops believe the cat was deployed by someone to smuggle the drugs to prisoners inside. That's cute because what's the alternative? That this was the cat's idea all on his own?
Or he and the mice had an arrangement, or the rats or whatever's in there.
Right. Why the cops felt the need to make that statement, I have no idea, because that is the only alternative. The cops cut the drugs off the cat, handed the cat over to a shelter to have it checked out, and the kitty is doing okay, and it isn't saying a damn thing until it talks to its lawyer. They're searching through security footage to figure out who's behind the dope smuggling cat. That's pretty impressive, if you ask me, because any cat owner knows that cats are stubborn pricks, and they don't do a damn thing until they're ready to do it. They don't take orders from anybody. So to train a cat to transport smack around town is an impressive accomplishment. Most cats would say, "Yeah, sure, I'll smuggle the dope for you," and then wait for you to walk out of the room, and the cat would just smoke all the weed himself and leave you with nothing.
A friend of mine who smoked all the weed that was around him, he had a retired police dog that he trained to get beer out of the fridge. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, I didn't know that was actually possible. I just heard about it in TV shows and stuff.
He would put a towel on the handle to the refrigerator. The dog would grab that towel, open it, and he kept the beer in the same place. I'm assuming it must have been just in the same place. I doubt he could differentiate that and Sprite.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But he would go grab one and bring it to him.
That's awesome.
Cool.
That's an awesome thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't think a dog would want the metal in its mouth, but the aluminum from the can, but didn't bother him at all.
Good puppy. All right, we got to get going. We'll check in with the sports next on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Oh, is that all the thanks I get for the native hot sex?
Sports on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Tonight, the Oklahoma City Thunder, their first conference finals game since 2016, wins handily as Anthony Edwards and the T-Wolves will regroup.
It was different every time. I mean, heavy in the gaps, sometimes trap the ball screen, sometimes don't, sometimes just run and jump. It's kind of similar to like AAU. They remind me of like an AAU defensive team, just run and jump, fly around. So it was pretty good. Good to get it out of our system in game one, so we'll be ready for game two. We should be ready.
Drive the basket, for Christ's sake.
So many three-pointers.
Dribble drive. Go to the basket, Josh. Maybe you'll get a foul. If you're Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you'll absolutely get a foul.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
There's like a montage online of some of that stuff. It's crazy.
People warned me. I hadn't watched a lot of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but leading up to this series, a lot of listeners texted in and said, get ready for a lot of whistles. This guy flops like a crappie, and it's disgusting. And they were all completely correct about that. Game one didn't go so well for the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards says they'll be ready for game two. Drive the basket a little bit. Again with the turnovers. Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder will be here. In a half hour, we'll talk about the Timberwolves. Rain kept the Twins from playing ball yesterday again.
Stupid.
They'll try again today, for Christ's sake.
Stupid.
It is.
Screw you, Mother Nature. I'm trying to watch baseball.
It is. It's stupid.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember who texted us in, but earlier we were talking about a story where a lady said her superpower is flirting, which is pretty annoying.
Yeah.
He said he has a superpower. It's he gets an erection every time before it rains. You know, somebody might have a pain in their knee that flares up. He gets a boner.
It's a rain boner?
He's like, oh, look at that. We got some precipitation arriving in any second.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be on a grounds crew with him. A landscaping crew. The ladies' hockey team, they lost last night. It was a miserable night. You were talking about show and tell earlier when we were kids. I know Josh and I, we couldn't remember any of the performances that we might have had during show and tell when we were kids. Do you want to hear what I throw dodgeballs at kids for a living cheeses brought to show and tell back when they were a little kid, Josh?
Sweetly.
He says, I brought a squirrel.
Oh, wow.
A live squirrel?
He didn't say, Ashley.
All right.
I bet kids thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
I would.
Even a dead squirrel.
Yeah, it didn't matter to me.
As a kindergarten kid, I'd say, well, cool, a dead squirrel.
We had a dead squirrel somebody brought to school for their girlfriend in high school. Left it in a box in her locker.
Oh.
In high school?
Yeah.
Oh. One more time. How did this all play?
He found a dead squirrel, put it in a
dead
shoebox,
squirrel.
And put it in her locker.
To show how much he loved her.
Yeah, he was just kind of goofy like that. No, it wasn't like he thought he was being funny.
When does he get out of jail, by the way? I assume he must have gone on to do a life of crime of some sort or weird things.
Dana, he's never getting out of jail.
That's good.
Never.
That's good.
How did the girl react when she opened her locker and found a shoebox with a dead squirrel inside of it?
You know, she didn't find it as funny as he did.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Nope. Mm-mm.
We also got on the topic of foot fetish websites earlier. Feet. Not my thing. Not by a long shot, but a lot of folks just fall down and touch themselves at the sight of somebody's feet. One of our listeners texted in. A few of them actually texted in saying they know a girl or their ex-girlfriend was on a foot fetish website. She made this amount of money. One listener says, I dated a girl that did Feet Finder. That's a foot fetish website. She put her feet up there on Feet Finder. She got a request once to poop on a plate. Did you follow this so far, Ashley?
Yeah, sadly.
She got a request once to poop on a plate and then squish it with her bare feet.
Ah, jeez. And I stand by that request. Still waiting.
No.
We'll be right back with Cubby's News Report.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Well, if it isn't our wonderful podcast listeners, the ones that all of us on hams love the most. Dana here to give you a little gentle reminder to hit up our friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning and tune up that AC before it fully turns into crotch soup season. June through August are Standard's busy season for getting AC units up to snuff, so get ahead of the curve and have them ensure you don't have a summer where you pit out every shirt you own. Book in May during their pre-summer heat savings event, and you'll beat the rush and save yourself some walking around money. Call Standard Heating today or visit standardheating.com. Enjoy the show. We sincerely appreciate you checking us out each and every day.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
No Contest Wrestling. O'Shea Jackson Jr. and TJ Jefferson with the biggest names in the game.
Give it up for the Dark Angel.
First one.
First.
I can believe it.
NXT double champion. Welcome to King, Lexus King.
I don't know if I'd be where I'm at now if I didn't take the path that I took.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jada Parker.
What made you, after the soccer career, go WWE?
The answer I always have to that is like, why not?
The No Contest Wrestling Podcast, part of the Rich Eisen Podcast Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Half-assed morning show. 93X.
Afternoon, everybody.
Hey, what's happening, Norm?
It's a dog-eat-dog world, Sammy, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
Actor George Wendt, who played the ever-loyal Norm on Cheers, died yesterday morning. He died at home at the age of 76. He was a doting family man, a well-loved friend and confidant to all those lucky enough to have known him. The statement from his family read, "He will be missed forever," they said. Wendt was one of TV's most recognizable faces after appearing in more than 260 episodes of the popular Boston bar set sitcom. His character, Norm, was a jovial beer lover who sat at the same stool at the bar which shared the same name as the show. He was born in Chicago as one of 9 children and went to high school in Wisconsin before enrolling at the University of Notre Dame. His career began at Second City Comedy Theater, but it was in 1982 when Wendt got his big break with the role of Norm Peterson on Cheers.
Sammy, you want to know what I love?
Beer, Norm?
Yeah, have a quick one. Well, Sammy, I love that stool. If there's a heaven, I don't want to go there unless my stool is waiting for me. And I'll tell you what, even God better not be on it. You wouldn't dare.
Norm was a dedicated patron of the bar where everyone knows your name, quote unquote, proving the adage true when the bar would call out Norm when he walked in. Following the end of the show, he had a short-lived series called The George Wendt Show, where he played a mechanic with a radio program. The official cause of death has not been announced. George Wendt passes away at the age of 76. One of the greatest.
That clip you played from the finale, Josh, where he's since he loves beer and he wants that stool to be in heaven. Just such a brief moment where you see like the great silent acting where Sammy says, "Yeah, beer, Norm," and he kind of like looks down, looks at his watch, and goes, "Yeah, I got time for one."
He was always so good at those quips.
Just those little things, those little subtle things. Like looks down at his watch, he knows it's time to go. Yeah, I got time for one more.
In a tortilla-twisted tale of midnight mayhem, a Florida man's late-night craving for tacos led to a destructive outburst at a closed Del Taco drive-thru early Sunday morning, resulting in wrench-wielding, window smashing, a 911 call, and criminal charges.
Well, it's Florida. It happens all the time. You know the Florida Man news. But it's Del Taco. Can expect it because they're good tacos.
Anthony Izzo pulled into a Del Taco drive-thru in Port Charlotte around midnight Sunday, hoping to satisfy his taco craving. But employees had already closed the restaurant, and they told Izzo that they couldn't serve him. Moments later, employees heard a loud popping noise, which sounded like perhaps gunshots near the drive-thru window. Turns out it wasn't gunshots. It was Izzo expressing his Del Taco displeasure by maturely striking the drive-thru window with a pipe wrench. He did this before making a most gallant retreat, valiantly fleeing with great bravery cloaked in the trappings of noble courage.
I mean, if I didn't get my tacos, I'd be mad, but I wouldn't be grabbing no wrench. I know that.
Deputies eventually tracked him down at his house. He was arrested for criminal mischief. The estimated cost of the damage was about $2,000, definitely more than a Del Yeah big box taco combo.
I have been hangry before, but not to that level. I mean, I'm hungry, but not that hungry.
He was booked into jail.
They had fun with the interviews.
Those taco bros, they sound like guys that hang out at the Del Taco in Florida.
I like how that Stone kid said you should expect this type of behavior because of the quality tacos they serve at whatever the name of the joint was.
Del Taco.
Del Taco. Yeah. You should expect it because the tacos are that good.
It was anything but a quiet afternoon in British Columbia's lower mainland when a masked man, armed with a machete, stormed into a restaurant and beat their meat.
It was chaotic. Yeah, we were so scared. Until now, when we watched the video, we're still scared because the knife was just literally within arm's reach to my employees.
Surveillance footage captured the 29-year-old barging behind the counter, brandishing a weapon as he made a beeline for some meat roasting on a spit. There he began hacking at it with his machete before fleeing with several pounds of it. He even took a couple of sauces, the restaurant owner said, trying to make light of the situation. But he forgot to take pita bread, though, he joked. Though no one was hurt, the restaurant had to throw out the remaining meat for safety reasons and shut down for the day. They say there was about $1,500 in lost sales.
Oh, that's awful.
Meanwhile, over 1,200 miles away in Nebraska, police are dealing with a different kind of theft, one that's less dramatic but equally strange. At the Gateway Mall's JCPenney in Lincoln, a group of very sleepy women had been stealing armfuls of stolen comforters. Over several months, 6 different women have been caught on camera nonchalantly walking out of the store without paying, leaving investigators wondering whether the incidents are connected or just an oddly specific coincidence.
Today we're sharing photos of 6 women that have been seen in the store on various occasions in the past few months. We can't say for sure if the cases are related or not, but we are hopeful with some information from someone in the community, we can start to piece these cases together to find out and also put a stop to this.
Cubby, that's not one of the items that I would expect thieves to be attracted to.
They are pricey.
Yeah, it's the only thing I could think of is, I mean, it's completely obvious what's going on. They're huge, right?
Where the hell be? Part of the reason why I'm surprised is that they're so bulky. So where and how did they?
Good point.
Where the hell
but at times,
I didn't even think of that.
Sometimes that's the best way to get away with it. Like when I worked asset protection, those were a lot of times people that got away with stuff because it was so bold. Other shoppers would never assume he's walking out of here with a 65-inch TV.
Yeah, you're not even paying attention to them.
So you don't even attempt to hide it in some situations. You just rely on the ignorance of everyone else involved.
But that's my guess. What you said, Ashley, is some of them are crazy expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And so maybe they're just flipping them on Facebook Marketplace or something. Not to single out Facebook. Police said they're also investigating an unrelated gas station incident, which occurred on Mother's Day. About 6 p.m., a man reportedly became verbally aggressive with another customer, slapped a drink out of his hand, and made off with a bottle of orange juice. Some seek psychics for guidance, but when love or money are involved, experts are urging caution.
The criminal code's quite clear, though. Fraud is when somebody uses deception to defraud another person.
Joanne Whalen, a 54-year-old from Canada, handed over more than $50,000 to a psychic.
Oh.
The psychic promised she could make a man from her gym fall in love with her. But there was no love, no gym romance, and no refunds.
For Christ's sake.
After Joanne's clairvoyant catastrophe went public, the psychic skeletons came tumbling out of the closet. One man, identified only as Ray, said he spent $75,000 over 3 years on 3 different psychics. After losing his wife, he was looking for connection. He met a woman online and turned to a psychic for advice. She told him the woman was interested, but $12,000 could seal the deal. They did end up getting married, but the relationship crumbled almost immediately. Then came more demands to, quote, fix it for even more money.
What are these people doing?
It was never fixed.
Aww.
Another man from Toronto, identified only as HJ, didn't get the happy ending he was promised either. HJ said a psychic warned him he was possessed by demons, and the only way to get rid of them was through payments. He was promised spiritual cleansing and even lottery winnings if he kept paying, but he didn't get a dang thing. In the end, he lost $80,000.
Whoa.
And now says he wishes he never believed a word of it.
I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. I feel like an idiot. Total idiot. I let this thing happen to me.
I like his style.
What the hell's going on?
I like they want to disguise his identity. Don't use my name. Let's go with HJ.
And by the way, I'm an idiot. The Toronto Police Financial Crimes Unit said psychic scams often go unreported and rarely result in victims getting their money back.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to tell anybody about that.
I mean, I wish I had that much money to lose.
That's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
How is it that these people are so gullible?
I don't know.
What happened to them?
Probably like gambling addiction. You just keep snowballing.
Yeah, but I guess there'd probably have to be something that went right to keep giving the money.
Yeah.
My goodness. A 72-year-old Arizona woman shot her 38-year-old son during a heated argument over video game loudness. The confrontation occurred Saturday night when the son got too loud while gaming, prompting his mother, Hazel Benson, to open fire. Mesa police responded to the scene. This happened about 8:50 p.m., and they found the man with non-life-threatening injuries. According to police, Benson admitted she went grand theft granny and shot her son, later tossing the gun into a nearby canal. Benson told investigators the two had been arguing. At one point, her son went out for a walk to cool off, but when he came back, she was blocking the door.
When he returned, she tried to stop him from re-entering the home. She told police he lunged at her with raised fists, and that's when she says she shot him.
Although she admitted to the shooting, she said she couldn't remember if she pulled the trigger once or more than once. Cops said it was definitely more than once.
How do you forget something like that?
Earlier that evening, officers had already been called to her home for a separate disturbance. During that visit, she mentioned that she was fed up with the loud video games.
These two are adorable when they get together, huh?
Yeah. I'd imagine they didn't say exactly how old he was, or if they did, I took it out of the story for some reason. But she's 72. I mean,
I think you said he was 38.
Yeah, did I say that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know where I did. I'm looking back. I didn't even see it.
38 skis.
Yeah, that's.
Well, you spend that much time with your child or your parent. I mean, he's 38, still playing video games with his mom in the background. I think
it's bound to happen.
You spend that much time with your parents or your children or whatever the case may be. Eventually, there's going to be bloodshed.
A man accused of causing a crash in Andover on Friday was reportedly drunk and may have been trying to race his wife home from the bar when it happened. That crash occurred about 5:45 p.m. Witnesses told police they saw the 48-year-old pickup driver stumbling away from the scene before taking off into a nearby wooded area. Police later found the man walking along the road. According to charges, he showed clear signs of intoxication. At first, he denied being the driver. But not long after, his wife showed up and confirmed that pickup was his. She told officers they both had been at a bar in Oak Grove where he'd been drinking vodka. She said she tried to get him to ride home with her, but he refused and insisted on driving his truck, following her instead.
No, I got this, he said.
Oh.
According to her, he may have been trying to beat her home, she said.
Just for fun?
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe, or there was leftovers they were going to fight over. I'm not sure what was going on there. She said that he sped up to make a turn, and sadly, that's when the crash happened. The man told deputies he didn't remember the collision. He claimed his memory picked up, though, with him running through a field, and he was actually heading back to the scene when they found him. Authorities drew his blood at the scene, and results are still pending, but police noted he also has a previous DWI conviction.
He was acting all types of sideways right there, Josh. You said something about Andover? Or was that...
Oak Grove is where they were drinking.
Oh, I thought you said Andover. I'm sorry.
The crash happened in Andover.
Oh, okay.
Andover, yeah.
My favorite Andover DWI story that I could tell you. I was bar gigging at Pav's up there years ago, and there were a couple of drunk younger fellers that were just acting like pricks all night long. And me and these two younger fellers ended up in like a shouting match at one point or another. They left the bar or got kicked out. Doesn't matter. But I left for home shortly after they were gone from the bar. And it was a terrible, terrible, snowy, icy night. So, again, the last note I had with these two guys was pretty much hollering at them to go F themselves. They're hollering the same thing at me. I left about 5 minutes after they did, and as I'm driving down the icy, snowy roads, I see these two puke bags spun out into the ditch with a state trooper right on their tail. They were both drunk. I knew they were going to jail. I don't know how I did this, Josh, because normally I'm not this coordinated, but I damn near hung my entire body out of my motor vehicle while driving past them and just looked. The cops saw me, they saw me, and I just went, woo! God, that felt friggin' good.
It's always fun to see karma play out.
That's awesome, yeah.
Especially when it's that quick.
Doesn't happen enough, unfortunately.
All the way back to Rogers, I laughed my balls off.
It was on this day 124 years ago in 1901. Connecticut became the first state to impose a speed limit. The new law restricted cars to 12 miles an hour within city limits and 15 miles an hour on highways.
Yeah, you can really let it go on highways back then, couldn't you?
A 53-year-old man who escaped from the Minnesota sex offender program facility in St. Peter over the weekend has been caught, making him the second person in just over a week to break out of that same location, and the third individual to escape from a state-run facility in the past 5 months.
It's just kind of concerning when I hear stuff about, like, people getting out. My parents will text me, like, hey, like, make sure you're being careful when you're, going on runs and stuff.
The latest escape happened Saturday night. Around 7 p.m., the man's roommate alerted staff, saying that he hadn't seen him move from his bed for quite some time.
Uh-oh.
When they checked in, they discovered a decoy. A dummy.
Classic.
Very classic. A dummy left in the bed with the man's ankle monitor still attached, like if Ferris Bueller was felonious. Investigators traced his trail via phone records, finding that he'd hitched a ride to Albert Lee, snagged himself a getaway car, and sped to Missouri. That's where the long arm of the law caught up with him Sunday afternoon.
Can we keep a closer eye on these characters, for Christ's sake?
Just over a week earlier, May 9th, the 45-year-old man also escaped from the St. Peter facility. He left around 1 a.m. and recaptured about 6 hours later. Back in December, another escape occurred, this time at a treatment center in Rochester. In that case, a 43-year-old man cut off his ankle monitor and took off. And in a separate incident far from Minnesota, 10 inmates broke out of a New Orleans jail on Friday by crawling through a hole hidden behind a toilet. Adding an unusual twist to an already bizarre story, 5 of the fugitives are still on the run, but the internet has turned their flight into a spectacle. Social media users are placing bets on which escapee will be the last to be caught. The online betting frenzy began after the 4th inmate was apprehended Monday night.
You can truly bet on anything.
So far, they've made one arrest as to a jail employee who was somebody who helped get them out.
Some guy's got a $100,000 bet on the line because he's housing the guy in his basement, trying to keep him safe.
These effing guys are slippery, Josh.
They are. Yeah. I mean, these guys had help. It sounds like the St. Peter facility, the 2 that got out, they weren't in a locked area. So I'm not sure how they got past everything else. But I think that's probably going to change, I'd imagine, at this point.
Yeah, man.
Mr. T is 73 today.
Oh, that's
awesome. Wow.
I love you so much, Mr. T, and I hope that one day we'll be together.
Good luck to March Madness Jesus taking his CDL road test today. Karen Rogers is a douche Jesus. Text in to wish what he calls his avocado toast eating sister-in-law, Dawn, a happy birthday. Grill Master Bloody Mary Maker Jesus is wishing a happy 32nd to his, quote, smartass girlfriend, Renee. And happy 31st birthday to the king of the road from your soon-to-be wife, Leo DiCapaho, Jesus. And that's 93X.
You know what, real quick before we go, Josh, I'd rather have a smart-ass girlfriend than one that eats avocado toast named Dawn. I really would.
Randy Shaver.
That's the guy. That's the guy whose chin looks like balls.
On the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Tonight, the Oklahoma City Thunder, their first conference finals game since 2016, wins handily as Anthony Edwards and the T-Wolves will regroup.
We didn't have a lot of patience in the second half, and then our rushed offense didn't get a bunch of quality looks, and then it affected our defense, honestly. We got some fouls early, which I thought made us a bit softer than we needed to be. Then when we did get good looks, they didn't go down.
Well, Randy Shaver.
Yes, sir.
Total pimp, Brad Ryder.
Good morning.
Things didn't go so well for the Timberwolves.
No.
In Game 1.
No.
The Oklahoma City Thunders lead the best-of-7 series after winning by, 25-26. The second half of the game was disgusting.
Yep.
In the second half, OKC started hitting all their shots. The Wolves couldn't sink jack squat.
Well, the goal is still there. The goal to split in Oklahoma City is still there.
Yeah.
So that's the positive this morning, is that
it's only one loss.
It's only one loss. And yes, they were outplayed in the second half. I agree with everything Chris Finch said. The bench was awful. Could not score last night. I think that probably was the key to the game, that and the turnovers. But the goal is still there. And as long as they can figure out a way to regroup and get a win in Game 2, if they do that, then all of this will be forgotten and they'll have home court advantage and we'll see what happens. But
yeah, I think a couple of days ago, I said it's going to be determined whether they win this series or not because of their bench play, and that proved that last night. And it's not that the Wolves bench is. They didn't play well last night. It's not like the Wolves have a bad bench. It's just that when you play a team like Oklahoma City, their bench is so good that it's just you have to try to match that somehow. And I think I wrote down the numbers. I think our bench shot 9 for 41, and our starters shot 20 for 42. So, like Randy said the other day, I think our starters are going to match up well statistically, point-wise, everything with their starters, but when they can bring the things that they bring off of their bench, it's just really hard to match.
You got to stop turning the ball over so damn much.
Yeah.
Randy Shaver just said if we can find a way, okay, well, I'll make some suggestions. Stop turning the ball over so effing much. And how about when Julius Randle has an absolute dream first half? He's even shooting beautiful three-point shots. Suddenly he's
just
got this.
Keep feeding him.
In the second half, he was missing. Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, keep feeding him the basketball. How about drive the basket a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I think I agree with that because OKC last night, their whole offensive strategy was to get to the basket. It was not necessarily to settle for three-point shots. And granted, that's been the Wolves' game pretty much all season, is to shoot the three.
Right.
But OKC got the Wolves in foul trouble early, especially Shai Gilgeous, by driving to the basket.
Yeah, he had some help also.
He got some help. I don't disagree with that.
So awful.
But you're going to get that, Nick, by being aggressive.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that by not being aggressive.
Yeah.
And I just think that the defense shown by OKC in the second half, they just swarmed them. And the Wolves know that's coming. They just didn't have an answer for it.
There were a few times Alex Caruso would pick up Edwards at half court, and the shot clock would be down to 4 or 5 seconds before they could even penetrate to the three-point line. I mean, exactly. He was just all over him in the second half. And the other thing I wanted to point out, OKC only shot 21 three-pointers the entire game.
That's correct.
I mean, they are very, very much, you know, if you're a basketball purist and you don't have a rooting interest and you're just watching that game last night, you have to love the way they play because they don't settle for those things. Like Randy said, they space the floor so well. There were a couple of times where the TV crew, the broadcast crew would show replays about how they space the floor, set picks, drive to the basket. They don't settle for the three-pointer. They try to get to the rim. They're okay taking a 15-foot jump shot in the paint. And most teams in the NBA now today are not, but they are.
Anthony Edwards scored 18 points. He only took 13 shots.
Yeah, I'll say this. I love Ant. I think we all do. But here we are. This is the postseason.
Yeah.
This is it, right? Here we are, and it was a pedestrian effort.
Right.
Sorry, it was just a pedestrian effort. And, the throwing the ball at Shai Gilgeous and
I like that.
Yes, he left the court for a few minutes with the ankles. I get it. But it was not a superstar effort.
No, we've seen this before, haven't we? Where a game will happen in the playoffs and we'll all go, well, what the hell's going on with Edwards? And the following game he scores, 47 points.
And if you watch the pregame show, Stephen A. Smith could not stop talking about Ant. I mean, he just went on and on and on. That's fine if you perform that way on a consistent basis every night when the spotlight's on you. But that's not happening, and it didn't happen last night. Now, he may do that tomorrow.
Right.
He may do that in games 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, whatever. But as of last night, clearly, Shai Gilgeous is the MVP candidate, and Ant was just another player on the Timberwolves roster last night.
Everyone's got to be better tomorrow night. Like Chris Finch said, they had quality shots. The accuracy wasn't there. They shot around 34%. They took 51 three-point shots and made only 15. Edwards is optimistic after the game. He said, quote, "We'll figure it out."
It was different every time. I mean, heavy in the gaps. Sometimes trap the ball screen, sometimes don't. Sometimes just run and jump. It's kind of similar to like AAU. They remind me of like an AAU defensive team. Just run and jump, fly around. So it's pretty good. Good to get it out of our system in game 1, So we'll be ready for game 2. We should be ready.
Yeah, he's got to be better. Everyone does. He's got to be more aggressive.
I understand the comparison, but don't compare them to an AAU team.
No, they're not an AAU team.
Yeah, AAU defenses, you don't really have a game plan. You're just running around and trying to block shots and steal things.
NBA that was a couple notches above AAU defense last night. I'm sorry.
NBA fans all had the same complaint about last night's game, and of course it was that Gilgeous-Alexander gets any call that he wants, like any other marquee player. Well, like many other marquee player does.
Right.
He drew a game-high 14 free throws. Some of them looked questionable, to say the least. I mentioned earlier I was warned by our listening audience. I didn't watch a lot of Oklahoma City basketball during the NBA season. I watched the Timberwolves, and that's pretty much it. I'm not wildly familiar with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, other than his name and the fact that he's related to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But before this series started, a lot of listeners warned me via text, and they said, you're going to hate this guy. You're going to hate the hang on a second, Brad Ryder.
Yeah.
You're going to hate the soft calls. You're going to hate all the trips to the free throw line. And by God, they were correct. Now, give me your butts now.
Well, but like Randy said, I agree with him. I mean, he's taking the ball to the basket. You're going to get calls when you do that. He had 27 shot attempts last night, and he only shot 4 threes. And by the way, he didn't make any of them. So he didn't make a three-pointer and still scored 31 points. I know he got to the line a lot, but he's taken 23 two-point shots. Compare that to Anthony Edwards. He shot 13 times, and 8 of them were threes. Okay, if you're only taking the ball to the basket 5 times the whole game,
you're not going to get free throws.
You're not going to get calls.
I'm not trying to compare Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to Anthony Edwards in this conversation.
That's why Shai Gillis is an MVP candidate. This is why, because
he gets a lot of calls.
Well, he does, number one, but he earns those calls.
Not always. Nick. Hell no, not always. Does he?
Nick.
Yeah, yes, I'm listening.
He earns
the calls when there's a phantom contact and he goes to the free throw line.
Aggressive.
That's BS.
That's not BS.
But yes, it is.
You're not going to.
Not every player gets those same calls. That's why it's BS.
Well, he does it on a consistent basis.
He takes advantage of the rules, is what he does.
Oh, I disagree. Look, if you're going to stand at the three-point line and shoot jump shots all game, you're not going to get a call.
Of course not. That's not what we're talking about.
Yes, it is what we're talking about. That's why he gets the calls, because he gets to the basket. He's aggressive with the ball. He doesn't settle for three-point shots.
Yes, that's all very obvious, Randy Shaver. But if Dante DiVincenzo drives to the basket, is he going to get all of those same calls? Absolutely not.
Well,
he's not going to get nearly half of them.
But Dante DiVincenzo doesn't drive to the basket.
But if he did, Brad Ryder, he would not get the same calls. These listeners who warned me were correct. It's ridiculous. The level of calls.
Again, I'm not saying that he doesn't get soft calls. He does, but he earns all of those things.
Just by going to the basket, he's earned those calls.
By his style of play.
You're giving him too much credit. I've seen more articles written up here.
He's an MVP candidate. I'll give him all the credit in the world. Holy cow.
I've seen more articles written up on foul baiting in the last couple of days, and ethical and unethical basketball players. So a lot of people are talking about this.
The total fouls last night were 22 apiece.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if he was on our team, you would not be complaining about this.
Oh, I wouldn't complain about it, but I'd sure be honest about it and say, my God, that's a terrible call.
Well, sure, there were some bad calls. I don't disagree with that.
So you don't see any difference in the way Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is treated in this department than any other player?
No, not a superstar NBA player. No.
Anthony Edwards doesn't get all those calls.
I disagree.
That's my point. Is Anthony Edwards did not take the ball to the basket last night.
Even when he does not get those same calls. Yes, it is true. It's absolutely 100% true. I'm already nuts.
Deep breaths, man. Deep breaths.
Well, it was all over. I mean, I read 3 or 4 articles with NBA fans saying it's disgusting. What did one person say? The touch foul calls that SGA gets are really awful. They don't resemble anything else that's happening in the playoffs right now. Listeners texted in, SGA is a free throw merchant, and I heard that term used last night on the broadcast. Dude can't play basketball. He's going to flop all the way to a championship.
Oh, for God's sake.
He's literally Joel Embiid in the form of a point guard.
Oh, my God. Stop it. Honestly.
So the thing is, you've had a boner for this guy for years, so it's hard for you to admit these things, Randy Shaver.
No, Nick, I do see that he's getting calls. My point is...
I understand your point.
Okay, but I mean, you can't argue with what's happening with him because he has earned that with the referees. Are they giving him some calls? Yeah, they are. Edwards does get some calls. You can't say that he doesn't.
Not
he
to
does.
this level. Not to this level.
Well, we do, yeah, but
it's like James Harden a few years ago. It's tough to watch. It's really tough to watch. When people tell me I can't watch the NBA because of all the flopping and all the dramatic crap, I can't argue with them because they're right. It's the worst part of basketball.
No.
It's the worst part of basketball that, oh, God, help us. Oh, God. I'm on the free throw line. It's the worst.
You sound like my fiance.
I really hope no one is saying that we lost last night because of the officiating. Please don't say that.
That's not what anyone's saying, Randy Shaver.
Okay,
they're specifically talking about all year long the treatment that SGA gets and some other players get compared to your average player. That's it.
I'm sorry to
That's
interrupt.
what they're saying.
I had to leave the studio. I got a phone call. Did you guys talk about the fouls from last night?
We did.
Yeah, I said they were 22 apiece.
This gimmick again. The Oklahoma City Thunder won't sell Western Conference Final tickets to out-of-town Minnesota Timberwolves fans. When you go to their Ticketmaster site, you get a disclaimer at the top of the page, and it says they won't sell tickets to anyone outside of Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, Missouri, or Nebraska.
Well, if you
Your
look
tickets
at the
will be
stands,
canceled without notice.
They're all OKC fans. I mean, you don't see anybody else there.
If they know they can fill the building with doing that, then more power to them, I guess.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Well, I guess I really don't understand it.
Why
really.
can't the Wolves do that too?
Why
the
do they
do that? Too.
No, I'm just curious. Why do they do that?
Maintain the home court advantage. They don't want a couple thousand Timberwolves fans showing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Doesn't that add a little fun to the situation? You get some road fans there at the game.
They don't want that. And like Brad said, if you can sell it, good for you.
Yeah.
The Indiana Pacers play at the New York Knicks in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals tonight, 7 o'clock on TNT. I would love to see Karl Anthony Towns versus the Timberwolves in the NBA Final, but again, it's that New York team thing. I'm going to end up rooting for Indiana. I'll end up rooting for Indiana because it's a New York thing.
I have a hard time with either one of those teams personally, but yeah.
I'd much prefer Indiana.
I don't mind Indiana, but I'm going to root for the Knicks.
The Florida Panthers more or less curb stomped the Carolina Hurricanes in Game 1 of the NHL's Eastern Conference Final. 5-2 was the score. A lot is going to have to change for the Hurricanes to be taken seriously in this series. I did not realize this until I just read it this morning. Last night's loss marked Carolina's 13th straight loss in a conference final, going back to being swept in the Eastern Conference Final in 2009, 2019, and 2023.
That's almost as bad as the Twins during that stretch, right? Where the Twins just couldn't do anything. They lost like 18 in a row or something like that.
Right. 21.
Was it 21?
Wow. I think so.
This might be even worse because you actually
it's
get
in
to
the conference final. Yeah, exactly.
Dallas and Edmonton play Game 1 in Texas tonight.
No, you're right, Randy. It was 18.
18.
I hate myself.
As you should.
The Minnesota Frost dropped Game 1 of the ladies' hockey final in overtime last night, the PWHL finals. The Ottawa Charge picked up the 2-1 victory. So that gives Ottawa a lead in the best-of-5 series. Game 2 is tomorrow night in Ottawa. And this is not a good look for this kid. Oh, damn. Washington I don't know if anyone's familiar with this character. I'd never heard the name before. Washington Capitals defenseman Alexander Alexeyev. His week didn't get any better after his club was eliminated from the playoffs last Thursday by Carolina. He ended up getting pepper sprayed by police in the middle of the night on the streets of Washington, D.C.
Poor kid. That sucks. What'd he do?
Well, what did he do?
Pepper spray.
Before you say poor kid, what did he do?
Public intoxication.
Public intoxication.
Bummer.
Hey, Randy Shaver. Alexiev was arrested after police responded to a report of a fight outside of a joint called Big Tony's Pizzeria at
probably 4 in the morning.
3:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Nothing good happens after 2 a.m.
He ended up getting pepper sprayed by the cops at 3:30 in the morning out front at Big Tony's Pizzeria after the Capitals lost to the Dam.
Well, it sounds like he was trying to get something to eat to maybe settle the alcohol.
Oh, there's nothing better than a post-bar close pizzeria when they're open late. The things you see in those joints, man.
How many pizzerias on the East Coast do you think are named Big Tony's?
It's like one every couple of blocks.
Damn near all of them. The Capitals made our favorite statement when they found out about Dinkus acting up all hammered and getting bear sprayed at 3:30 a.m. The Capitals said, "We are aware of the situation, and we are in the process of what, boys?
Gathering more information."
Translation, they're pissed.
I've written a few of those before.
It says here this dude lost several teeth in Game 1 of their playoff series against the Montreal Canadiens. So maybe the fight started because people were making fun of him for gumming his pizza pie.
Hey, do you guys got a blender back there for this pepperoni slice?
He just lost 7 chiclets a couple weeks ago in a game against Montreal. And now his eye sockets are filled with pepper spray. And he just lost in the playoffs to care. Rain kept the Twins from playing ball again last night. So they'll try it again this afternoon. They'll try to play a game and a half, I believe, starting at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Actually, I think it's at 12:10.
Yeah, it's a nooner.
Oh,
is the pickup of the suspension game?
Oh,
and then they'll play at 2 o'clock, the regular game.
Watch that suspended game go like 18 innings.
Hilarious.
And then it starts to rain. Like, Jesus balls, what did we even show up? So they'll try to get some games in today, and then one of the games
will be in September.
If you can follow all that.
It'd be different if Cleveland had a day off on Thursday like the Twins. They would have probably snuck in that game, but Cleveland's in Detroit on Thursday. So.
Remember that 20-year-old kid who went ass over apple cart at the Pittsburgh Pirates game and landed on his head?
Yeah, how's he doing?
Better.
That's good.
I keep reading reports that this kid is doing better. He fell out the stands at a Pirates game back on April 30th, landed on his head and his neck, and terrible, terrible things. One of his buddies has been charged with providing alcohol to an underage person. This is the next layer to this story.
Oh, no.
All the eyewitnesses around the section said that guy looked visibly hammered.
Oh, yeah, he did. Mm-hmm. If you watch like any of the videos beforehand,
yep,
he definitely looked very
did
affected.
He?
Yeah.
Look wobbly?
Oh, yeah.
This is very strange. How the kid who suffered all these injuries falling out the stands, his name is Kayvon Markwood. His buddy, who's 21 and served him beer, is named Ethan Kirkwood. Go ahead and try and sleep tonight.
I'm not going to be able to.
So it's his 21-year-old buddy. At least I assume they were buddies. I don't know that for sure. Okay, they are buddies. Okay. I didn't know if it was just some 21-year-old he talked into buying him. The 21-year-old kid has been arrested and charged with furnishing alcohol to a minor. And like you guys were saying, there's videos of the two of them walking around with Steve Weisers. I remember that's a terrible thing because I mean I don't know this 21-year-old kid, but I'm sure he feels terrible, for God's sake. His buddy is in the hot. I mean, he admitted to the cops. He said, "Yeah, I was buying beers." I mean, he must feel like garbage.
That's one of the reasons why I was super lame when I turned 21. I thought before I turned 21, oh yeah, I'll get everybody booze. Don't worry. Then I turned 21, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not buying you guys anything. I don't trust you at all.
You see, when I turned 21, one of my buddy's younger brothers approached me and said, would you buy us a pile of booze and beer for a keg party? And I said, absolutely, because I like this kid. And I guess I wasn't consciously trying to be that cool dude.
Yeah.
I just didn't really bother me, the idea of buying beer for underage kids when I turned 21.
And you probably remember being in that guy's position, too. And you probably had older friends that helped you out.
Actually, we did not.
Oh, you did?
We never had any older friends. We never did. We just luckily had a lot of pals with beards.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, yeah. I mean, so I did. I bought piles of beer and booze for this kid. And then I saw how he behaved when he was drunk.
Yeah.
And it scared the hell out of me. And I said to myself, if I ever do this again, I'm probably going to go to jail because this kid's going to choke somebody or get in a car wreck. So I only did it once.
Mm-hmm.
But this also brings me back to, like, say, when my brother and I turned 21, at twins, and we're living together, we had lots of beer parties. We had a real touchy situation happening there for a while because the cops were always coming to our parties, usually because there was a friggin' fight in the yard or whatever.
Nice.
The cops were always coming to our parties, and of course, we're newly 21. More than half the party is 20 and 19 years old. And the cops kept saying, we're going to take you pricks to jail if you keep contributing to minors. So we had to alter that.
Check IDs at the door.
But also, this makes me think of one of my favorite memories from when Josh and I used to just be covered in college girls.
Was
right?
2-3 weeks ago?
No, back when we would go to the X Fest and
Edge Fest
shows. Yeah. The big concert festivals when Josh and I were young in the radio business, and it was me and Josh and our old buddy Marcel. You brought Marcel up earlier this morning.
Total stud.
Marcel was working with us at the time, sort of part-time, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had a couple responsibilities around here.
Who was just the funniest dude. And Marcel had two of his buddies with us that day. So it was me and Josh and Marcel and his two buddies. And Marcel and his two buddies, African-American gentlemen, the five of us in a circle drinking beer at this concert festival and just having laughs, having a great time. And Josh, I'm sure you remember that Marcel's two buddies were like the coolest dudes we had probably ever met at that point in our life.
Definitely.
They talked cool, they walked cool, they drank beer cool.
They had a look like, don't mess with me. They were cool.
They kind of had an edge to them as well.
A little bit, yep.
And we're standing in a circle at this massive concert festival, and I see this 15, 16-year-old kid kind of eyeballing us from a distance. He was walking towards us, but then he'd turn around and walk back the other way if we looked at him, and I knew right away, this kid wants us to get him beer.
Yep.
Because we were standing in a circle. It was obvious that we were all legal drinkers. And finally, this kid conjures up the balls and says, hey, how many of you guys are 21? And one of Marcel's ultra cool friends says exactly this. Air one with a beer in their hand, mother effer.
That's so cool.
I was proud of the technique I developed at the Metrodome when I was 19, 20 years old to get a beer without an ID or a fake ID. I'd find a discarded bottle, that somebody left behind, and I'd have it in my hand while I was standing in line and just very confidently just walk up like, oh, yeah, I'll do another one of these. And then they'd say, oh, he's got one in his hand. Yeah, all right, here's another Miller Lite.
Oh, yeah. I never would have thought of something
That's
like that.
a classic. Oh, yeah.
That's very smart.
This is funny.
Yeah.
Wasn't the drinking age 18 back then? A listener is asking me.
Yes.
Well, no, it wasn't.
For me.
Yeah, when you were a kid. When me and Josh
How old do they think you are?
Yeah, how old do you think? When me and Josh and Marcel and his buddies were standing around, no, it was 21. I remember, when did that change, Randy Shaver? 85, 86, something like that?
I couldn't even tell you because
it did change right in the mid-'80s because guess who was 18?
Oh, you're one of those kids. That sucks.
That got screwed out of that rule. Yep.
So you were not grandfathered in?
Nope.
It's like 1986. It went to 21.
I
remember it
turned 18 in 1986.
Bummer.
You weren't past a certain, because, I remember that time period. I think I was a 9th grader, and there was this hubbub in class. Bunch of dudes were all upset. And I said, what's the problem? Well, they just changed the drinking age to 21. And a bunch of dudes we were 15 at the time, and, all of a sudden we weren't 3 years away from legally drinking. We were 6. And some people were pissed. But I had older friends who were Brad Ryder. Some of them were grandfathered in. Some of them were not.
I want to say I was within 2 or 3 months of being grandfathered in, and I wasn't.
Sucks.
Brad just sitting at home. His buddies are at the bar.
That blows.
Yeah.
Were you out on the farm at that time, or were you at U? Oh,
no, I was. Yeah, no, I was at the farm. Yeah.
And
that summer anyway. Yeah.
I've heard some great stories from older bartenders, where I've asked them, what was it like in this joint when the drinking age was 18, and they hated it?
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
What I've heard too.
Oh, I'll bet.
My friends at 21, we were effing idiots. Like everybody is at a bar. I can't imagine at 18. At least we had a little bit more, I don't know, maturity, if you even want to say that word.
Well, the thing that they pinpoint every time I ask these older bartenders about it, the thing that they pinpoint specifically is the vomiting.
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to get fights and idiotic behavior out of young drinkers until they hit about, 45.
Yeah.
They finally stop acting like. But these bartenders said they loved it when the drinking age went to 21 because they got so sick of mopping up puke on rookie night, they called it.
Gross.
I don't quite know your tolerance yet at 18.
Think about walking into your first day of college and being eligible to go to the bars right out of the gate.
Oh, no.
Right out of the gate.
That wouldn't have been good.
Did you splash your dinner at the bar being an 18-year-old drinker?
I never did.
You never did?
No, I never did. I was not much of a puker for alcohol. A couple times, but not. It wasn't beer, that's for sure.
The weed would make you sick.
Hard liquor would do.
Hard liquor. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
He'd go crazy.
Hard liquor would get
I can't even smell whiskey anymore. It makes me sick.
Funny how that goes.
Yep.
It seems like tequila's a big offender.
Yeah, a lot of people have issues with that.
Josh, that happened in 1977.
Oh, seriously? It's after all this time?
Yeah, I still can't smell it. Yeah.
Were you listening to the Love Gun record?
Don't remember what I was listening to. Too busy puking on a driveway.
Selling Buicks, as they say.
Yeah.
NFL owners met right here in town yesterday to discuss league issues and whatnot. How thrilling is that?
So exciting. I can't believe I missed it.
I think they're voting on the tush push today.
Yeah, I'd like the tush push to go push itself away from me forever. I'm so tired of that.
I don't care if they keep it or ban it. I just don't want to hear about it.
Don't care.
Again.
Don't care. Jay Cutler on that one. We're going to Jay Cutler the tush push.
Yeah.
But the owners voted to approve NFL players in the flag football event at the 20 and 28 Summer Olympics. That was something people have been wondering about lately.
It'd be interesting to see how it happens, though, because I believe the Olympics are in August of that year, and that means a lot of schedule headaches for the NFL. If players leave during training camp to go to the Olympics and they miss X amount of time, what does that look like?
Well, here's what it says in front of me, Randy Shaver. The Summer Games will run from July 14th. Oh, I didn't realize this wasn't until 20 and 28. Why the hell?
It's 3 years away.
Okay, I feel like a jackass now.
Well, it's because they're voting on it now.
Well, yeah, but I had the idea in my head that it was coming up this summer. It's not till 20 and 20. Okay. No. The Summer Games will run from July 14th to July 30th, so the most any players would miss would be the start of training camp. Again, I feel like an idiot for bringing this up because it's not till 2028. Some of us will likely be dead by then.
Well, you got something to look forward to.
I hope not.
Because Jefferson wants to play. Jefferson really wants to be a part of that.
An MVP candidate shredding both ACLs at once is just destined to happen in this.
Oh, that would be a lot of fun for me.
It's written in the stars.
I hope you're right. Who of us do you think will be dead by 2028?
Oh, my God.
Hopefully none of us.
I have to be the leading candidate.
How How can you be the leading candidate? You've survived cancer 6 times.
Yeah, you're invincible.
You're never going to die.
No, you're going to last a long, long time.
Well, I guess I'm next. I'm 56, so maybe me.
Well, but it's not always dependent on age.
No, accidents happen.
But your odds are higher.
I saw Ashley just trip over nothing.
Yeah.
You're accident prone.
Yeah, you're kind of like dealing with some balance issues right now, Ashley. So I'm just.
Although if I don't gain this 25 pounds back, I think I'm in good shape.
Oh, look at that humble brag.
Will you stop talking about your weight loss?
Great. You gave up a Pepsi a day. We're happy for you.
What, do you think you're the only guy that's dropped a few pounds? You're obsessed with your weight loss. I hope I die before 20 and 28. So I don't have to hear about Brad Ryder's weight loss or watch another Shea Gilgeous-Alexander basketball game.
It could be me. I choked on a piece of popcorn yesterday where I thought, well, this is it.
Yeah. Was it just stuck there and you're kind of wheezing?
Yeah, it was bad.
Cut off your wind?
Yeah.
Ouch, that hurts so bad, dude. I'm sorry.
Oh, you've had that happen too?
Yeah.
Yeah, very scratchy and salty.
I don't want you choking to death, Josh.
That was a close call.
Not unless it's, sexual in nature.
Oh my God.
There's been times where I thought it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Somebody came in to stop, and I'm like, wait, just give me a couple more seconds.
Obnoxious clown quarterback Patrick Mahomes and slightly deranged Dolphins receiver Tyreek Hill are among those players who have expressed interest in participating in the flag football thing.
I think it'll be interesting to see how they choose these teams because I have a feeling a lot of guys are going to want to do it.
You see,
seems that way.
Brad Ryder, you're right. A lot of players will want to do it because it's extra exposure and they can win a gold medal. And again, I know it's not for 3 years, but you all realize that this is going to be the most lopsided and ridiculous tournament in the history of the Olympics, right? There will be no country that comes within 5 touchdowns of the United States in any of these games. It'll be so pointless.
This will be a repeat of the 92 Dream Team.
I don't know.
What country's going to stop America?
You don't think the Nigerian flag football team can give us a challenge?
Football is so international now. That's why we're over there in London and Ireland.
Doesn't mean they're good at it. They might like watching it.
Oh, I bet they're terrible at it.
So bad.
You're inspiring the next generation.
I bet the United States can beat Germany by a dozen touchdowns. Are you kidding me? It's going to be a horrible tournament. A horrible tournament. But you know who's not so pumped about this? And we've talked about these guys before. No one thinks about these guys, except for Josh, because he's a kind-hearted person. No one is considering the dudes who have been playing on the United States national flag football team for years already.
Oh,
yeah.
And these guys are pissed off.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, these poor guys.
They'll be better at football.
But, didn't that happen?
They are better at flag football.
Didn't that happen, though, with the amateurs in basketball and in hockey?
Yeah.
When they allowed the pros to play?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing.
These guys are pissed.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very fair. Poor guys.
Flag football. It's the NFL's pretty much flag football today anyway. So, yeah, fine. Give them the friggin' gig. All right, now the word is that Bill Belichick is engaged.
Oh no.
I love that reaction.
That's the exact thing you want to hear.
I thought maybe this thing would dissolve, but oh my God, this is not good.
No, this is very bad.
Now it says that Bill Belichick is engaged to that unhinged gal.
My God.
Who could be his hot granddaughter.
Ew.
Easily could be his high granddaughter.
Great granddaughter.
Now, hang on. Here's the guy that's not going to make it to 2028.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to get murdered, isn't he?
Oh, I'm thinking, yeah.
Bill Belichick?
Here's
He's
the guy.
going to end up in an ocean somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brad Ryder, if he marries this woman, no way he lives to 20 and 28. They find him in a...
Oh, I see where you're going.
In a bathtub.
Yeah.
Yep.
She'll be like, let's go out for a day cruise with my family.
See?
Out on the ocean.
Exactly.
Out on the ocean. I love the ocean, he says.
Wait, where's your family? I thought they were going to be here.
Oh, they're taking a dinghy out. They're going to meet us a little.
Just an overly medicated Bill Belichick. Oh, the ocean sounds delightful.
Yeah.
Take these pills before you need your medicine.
How come we need three adult people over 6'5" to drive the boat?
Yeah. And why do you, Bill Belichick will say, why do you want to take me out on the boat when I'm so sleepy?
Yeah, but this will be
swim, Bill. Let me finish putting this chum in the water and then swim.
This will all be after she gets him to change his will.
Yeah. Oh, that's already happened.
That's first on the list.
That's probably happened already.
Bill Belichick is engaged. Well, this is cause for celebration, right?
Yeah, what a happy occasion.
Do you know if they're registered anywhere?
Can you imagine?
Target.
Can you imagine if you're a friend or family member of Bill Belichick's? Can you imagine trying to fake a smile when they announce their...
How about his kids?
Oh,
exactly.
I wouldn't even fake it.
That would be tough to fake that smile. Yeah, maybe you don't have to fake it. Maybe you just stand
I
up.
would hope they let me give a speech. Get up there. This is ridiculous. You all are ridiculous.
He might still be alive in 2028, but up at the crack of dawn, Jesus thinks that Bill's going to be on a Dateline episode by 2028.
I really hope his family members don't do those cliche interviews. Honestly, we never saw this coming.
Oh, and a Dateline, you mean?
Yeah.
You've heard of being P-whipped, right, Cubby?
Oh, yeah.
Financial advisor Jesus is introducing me to a new term here, and I'm going to have to, alter it slightly for on-air purposes. Financial advisor Jesus, he says that Belichick is caught in a coochie fog.
Yeah. I hadn't heard that term
It's
either.
like apparently it's like a cloud that hangs over you, and,
Sure.
it doesn't give you the ability to think straight. It's a fog.
You're just not yourself.
No, not while that cloud is
It's
encompassing
a neurological thing from that fog.
My God.
you. It is neurological. Yeah, he's a dead man.
Yep.
That actually could happen to you at any age.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's true. When you're younger, you're more susceptible, I think.
Yes.
But by his age, you'd think maybe that fog wouldn't be as thick as it is.
Right.
We've eliminated one of the possibilities as to why this is happening.
Go ahead, Brad Ryder.
Maybe she's pregnant.
Oh my God.
Do you know where they're registered for the pregnancy, for the baby shower? Can we get something at Babies R Us?
Are you still able to do that at 70?
Sure you are.
Yeah, Al Pacino just had a kid like a year ago.
Yeah.
Sure
Al
you are.
Pacino, Mick Jagger,
De Niro.
De Niro. But don't they just kind of leave some in a bucket and then doctors...
Yeah, something like
maybe.
that. Yeah.
Scoop it out.
yeah, the doctors...
Yeah, they chum in a bucket. And then they just save it in a freezer somewhere.
She's pregnant, Brad Ryder says.
I'm just saying, maybe you never know.
Scary. It's a scary thought.
I remember one of the greatest things I've ever heard said out loud was said by legendary Scorpions guitar player Rudolf Schenker. Man, sometimes I can't even talk about Rudolf Schenker because I'm in such awe of the man and the Scorpions, the band themselves. Love them so very much. Someone asked Rudolf Schenker a number of years ago how many kids he had, and he said like 9 or something. And they said, well, what's the age range? Like oldest to youngest. And this was when Rudolf Schenker was like 63 years old or something. And he said, the oldest is, he said like 49 or something. And the youngest is 4.
That's a gap.
Like, what the
Whoa,
heck? Well,
buddy.
I mean, plenty in between, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But he was still pumping out kids when he was... Well, Belichick's what, 75?
73.
Like we said, usually a doctor will help you out with that if need be. And someone said something about his kids, Belichick's kids.
I did.
Yeah, you did. Does anyone know anybody who's like parent, parents split up and then one of your parents started dating or possibly married someone around your same age?
No, that would be horrific. No. God, no. God. Ugh.
Text us 651-989-9393 if your parents split up and then one of them dated or remarried someone around your age, maybe even a little younger.
A boyfriend I had in high school, his father would date girls that were our age.
Yep.
And that was really
Wow.
weird.
When you were in high school age?
Yeah, so they were, 18, 19.
Okay.
And he was in his 40s. It was odd. It was
What
very odd.
band was he in?
Yes, he worked at like nightclubs actually.
Oh wow, okay, that makes sense.
So it all made sense in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, it grossed me out.
A good buddy of mine, his parents have been split since he was 4 or 5 years old, and I know his mom really well. And him and I have this inside joke where I've always said, I want to marry your mom someday so I can be your stepdad and say, "Hey son, would you like to go out back and have a catch?"
Man.
Hey, don't call me dad. All right?
I see some text rolling in. I'm very interested in this. If your folks split up and then one of them started dating or married someone who was your age or younger. I don't know. It sounds like fun. All right. What else is going on? I suppose that's about it, boys. So tonight, I can take a mental health day.
Yeah, take a nice bubble bath, put a face mask on.
Yeah,
It'd be
throw a
great.
slap shot or some type of comforting movie for you. Maybe just relax.
Put a couple of rubber duckies in the bathtub.
Hopefully there's a baseball game on. What else?
Hopefully.
Yeah, that'll-
but they're afternoon games for the Twins. So.
Oh, right.
Watch some Cheers, maybe.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Have a nice rosé.
Watch the Favre thing on Netflix.
I watched that yesterday. You watched it too?
I watched
I
it.
did. I didn't really learn anything new.
I was going to
but-
ask if you did. It was all stuff everyone's heard.
Maybe I'll
Pretty
watch.
much, but to see Jen Sturger now and hear her, and there were some interesting parts to it, but it was nothing earth-shattering.
Oh, I will say I learned about her. I obviously heard she was the one that got the photo and all that stuff, but I didn't know anything about her outside of that.
Oh, like how the start in Florida State and everything like that?
I mean, I knew she worked for the Jets in some capacity, but I had no idea anything else.
Josh, I was in college in 2005, and I knew Jen Sturger very well.
Oh, it sounds like a lot of people did.
Yes,
I was
very familiar.
Not aware of any of that.
Maybe I'll watch the Favre thing, but Ashley brings up a good idea. Maybe watch some old episodes of Cheers with George Wendt passing away yesterday.
Yeah.
There you go, gentlemen. Thanks for every damn thing, and we'll wrap again tomorrow.
Sounds good.
We'll be back in a few minutes here on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Well, if it isn't our wonderful podcast listener, the ones that all of us on hams love the most. Dana here to give you a little gentle reminder to hit up our friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning and tune up that AC before it fully turns into crotch soup season. June through August are Standard's busy season for getting AC units up to snuff, so get ahead of the curve and have them ensure you don't have a summer where you pit out every shirt you own. Book in May during their pre-summer heat savings event, and you'll beat the rush and save yourself some walking around money. Call Standard Heating today or visit standardheating.com. Enjoy the show. We sincerely appreciate you checking us out each and every day.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Former MLB All-Star Sean Casey, a.k.a. The Mayor, keeps hitting it out of the park.
I don't need to hear anything from anybody. There's too much riding on my mind being locked in. Play offense, not defense. If you play hard and you play the game right, nobody really gets on you. They're going to boo you here and there, but if you show them that you care and that you're playing hard, that's what you need to do. Just play the game one way. You hit a ball in the gap, run. Boom, coming in hot.
The Mayor's Office with Sean Casey from Believe.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
They're gross, they're offensive, and kids on the road see them.
Half-Assed Morning Show.
Can you even begin to understand? We welcome you back to the program. It is 8:31, and it is Wednesday. You're a terrific effing crowd. We were talking earlier about that poor bastard Bill Belichick, who is now reportedly engaged to marry that gal of his. He's 75 or whatever. She's in her early 20s. And someone brought up, I wonder what his kids think about that, if it all is true. Wonder what his kids think about that. And I would imagine he's 75 or whatever. His kids, however many. I know he has one son, because that guy also coaches football, I think. However many children Bill Belichick has, I imagine they're older than Bill's girlfriend by quite a bit. If anyone can look that up. I would imagine his kids are older than their dad's girlfriend by quite a bit. So I asked our listeners, did your folks split up and then one of them started dating or married someone around your age? I'm fascinated by the subject. Turns out quite a few of you have had that experience or know somebody who's been in that situation. Quite a few people in our listening audience.
Bill Belichick has 3 kids.
Yeah.
Amanda, she's 41.
Yeah.
Stefan, 38. Brian, 31. So, yeah, they're all older.
They're all older. What would you make of that, Josh? Let's say when you were 27, 8, 9, 30. Your folks split up and your mom or dad started dating a character your age.
I wouldn't care for it. Somebody texted in, so I'm 50, and asked, what if I found out right now my mom was married to a 29-year-old?
Yeah, I wouldn't like that either.
I responded to that person. I said, well, I wouldn't be too comfortable with that. And he said, well, this is a terrible way to let you know I'm your new stepdad.
But what if that character that your mom was with was your age exactly, 50 years old?
Well, I know you're 50. I wouldn't be as weirded out. If the guy was much younger than me, I definitely would be.
Yeah.
I would kind of, no offense to my mom, but I would kind of wonder, there's nothing else, man? Nothing? Between 50 and 75, right. You couldn't figure something out?
Some people have a wide range of ages that they find acceptable. I remember asking Ashley before her age range of men she would be interested in. You're, what now, 27?
Yep.
And I think, a year ago or so, you said, between 25 and I think 40. Was that your cutoff? 30.
Probably 35.
35 now. I think it's gotten. I think that window's gotten smaller over the years.
Yeah, it just gets smaller.
It gets smaller. I know a gal who's 80 and has been widowed quite a few years ago, and someone asked her, about maybe dating a new man. Well, and she's quite vocal about her desire to find a man. And someone asked her age range, and it went all the way down to 50, and she's 80. And some people didn't think much of it, but others went, Jesus, balls, all the way down to 50.
Yeah, get it if you can.
I think her son-in-law did not react well to that.
Oh, I bet not.
He said, for Christ's sake, that's how old I am. All right. Here are some answers from our listeners when we asked them about one of your parents, when they split up, or maybe there was a death, started dating someone around your age, around their children's age. Big Rig Skateboard Jesus says, my dad was dating a chick 3 years older than me when I got married. So now my, in quotations, sister and my son are in the same grade at the same high school.
Oh, weird.
Auto Body Jesus said he's 26, his dad is 60, and his dad's dating a 22-year-old.
Whoa. Son of a bee. That's really...
Oof, duh.
A guy can really get away with that, huh?
Apparently so.
60.
Get back to us, Auto Body Jesus. What are your thoughts on that? Didn't say one way or the other.
And yeah, Auto Body Jesus, like Josh said, give us your thoughts on that and give us a little background on your dad. What is it about your dad that he's able to drag a 22-year-old into the mix? That's not, and I'm no offense, older people, I'm headed in that direction myself. I just don't see that as something that's easily done.
Yeah, there's got to be something, money, some type of cool job, career, musician, I don't know.
Right. It usually is one of those things.
What would your age range be, Nick?
I could be all cute and funny, right? But if you're honestly asking me, if I became single, what would my age range be? The 60-year-old guy got a 22-year-old.
Well, go ahead, whatever you want.
Could you keep up with the 22-year-old?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Not in any way, shape, or form.
I think I'm at the stage in my life I wouldn't even pretend to like things that I used to pretend I liked back in the day to date somebody. Like, oh, you want to go downtown and drinking? Yeah, I love going downtown. Oh, my God, I love it. I definitely want to go downtown.
Oh, the band doesn't go on stage until 11? Perfect.
Right. No, you're too old for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do any of that. For me, it would definitely be probably late 30s at the youngest.
I'm surprised to even hear you say that.
I mean, I was trying to think how low. I mean, that would be totally like somebody's personality. I just couldn't, stop and not want to be with that person. I'd rather have somebody within 5 years either side. But there's no way I could go very, like you said, Dana, I couldn't keep up with a 22-year-old or want when I got kids.
You'd end up dead.
Yeah.
You'd end up dead.
Yeah, it's not good.
But I'd like to try it. You mentioned there's no way at your age you would even try to fake likes.
No.
To have something in common with your, say, 22-year-old girlfriend. I did do a little bit of that when I was into my early to mid-30s. I was dating a wonderful younger gal. She was a lot of fun. There were a couple nights where, I just, because she liked to go to clubs and things like that.
Oh.
There were a couple nights where I just said to myself, I can't do the volume anymore. I can't do this music anymore. I can't do the college guys pushing and shoving and screaming and yelling. And that was when I was in my early to mid-30s. So I have to answer your question. What would my age range be? Okay. You're talking about a target age range for a relationship is what you're talking about.
Yeah, not just like a hookup.
I would like to try a few hookups and then I would say probably 35 to my age to 53, 4, 5 years old. 35 and up. You got to be real about these things. You got to, at one point or another, you got to grow up and be real.
I was realistic when I started on the dating apps a few years ago, and I ended up meeting my now wife. I was probably 36 at the time. I'm now 39. I set the age range to 30 because I said, why waste my time swiping on some chick that's 24? She's not going to want my 36-year-old divorced ass, I had those expectations kind of realistic and dialed in.
Dana, a 60-year-old dude is dating a 22-year-old.
He must have more to offer than me, Nick.
Did Army mechanic, whoever it was, what was the guy's name again?
Auto Body.
Did he ever get back to us? We wanted to know.
I'm not seeing that he did.
Okay. Please get back to us. Auto Body Jesus. We want to know how you feel.
He did, okay.
We were asking how he felt about his 60-year-old father dating a 22-year-old, and then what is it about his 60-year-old father that leads him to little slam pieces like this that are barely out of college?
So we don't have an answer to both those questions. He said, this is Auto Body Jesus. His dad's 60. Auto Body Jesus is 26, but his dad's dating a 22-year-old.
So crazy.
So he said, my coworkers call him the legend. I thought it was weird, but I don't care anymore because they started dating 2 years ago.
He's gotten over it.
Yeah.
The legend.
That'd be hard to get over. I'm proud of you.
How's the legend doing? Here's a listener who said, my dad's fifth wife was 20 when... My dad's fifth wife was 20 when they got married. He was 58 at the time.
Oh.
God dang.
1978 Trans Am Jesus. Sweet, by the way. He said he's 54. His wife's 33. He has a daughter who's 36.
Duh!
At first, it was awkward. All good now.
Only natural for your daughter to be a little bit iffy about that situation.
Yeah.
And by the way, going back to the origin of this conversation, and that is Bill Belichick being 74, 5 years old with this gal who's 23, 4, and We all were over that for a stretch of time, but now lately it seems like the gal's getting extra squirrely, and people are really legitimate.
Scary.
They're legitimately worried about Bill Belichick.
It kind of seems like he's been lobotomized, or he's terrified, or combination.
Going back to the original source of this conversation, I did receive a text because we were making pretty good fun of Bill Belichick a half hour ago or so when Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder were on the air with us. This listener says, listen to everyone on their high horse. I'm 70. And if I can pull a psycho beauty queen, the world can kiss my ass.
Yeah, I guess at this point, what does he care? What people think?
Anoka Hockey Dad Jesus says, my parents are divorced and my dad dated a loser chick for a long time that's 5 years younger than me. She was a loser.
At least he's over it.
So this person, they were the class of 83, and they said, one of my classmates, her dad was having a relation with one of our classmates.
Oh.
How would you take that, Ashley?
You're not supposed to do that. I would have to report that to somebody. I don't know who I'd talk to about that.
Like
I would tell somebody.
While they were still in school, Ski?
That I'm reading into that. That's what it seems like to me. But
I got a buddy who he went to high school with somebody who a couple of years after we were in college. So it was like sophomore year, we were like 20. He was at a bowling alley back in his hometown, and he saw a friend of his that he went to school with, a girl, and she was bowling, and that must be her dad. I'll go up and say hi. He got a little bit closer and realized it was one of their teachers. And up on the scoreboard, you type your names in. It was daddy and daughter.
Uh-oh.
Really?
Du hast. Now, okay. We're going on and on about this.
He didn't go say hi to them at that point.
That's a good call, no.
We're going on and on about this 60-year-old guy. Auto Body Jesus told us about his 60-year-old father dating a 22-year-old, and we're all going, or married to, I forgot which one it was at this point, and we're all going, wow. Now, not trying to be mean here, but you can be 22 years old and still wildly unappealing.
Yeah, you're right.
You can. We're all thinking, oh, my God.
Thinking the best case scenario.
Right. Now, listen to this. This listener says, when I was 19... No, pardon me. This listener says, when I was 21, my dad started dating a 19-year-old girl. And he says, here's the twist. She was scorching hot. Just crazy hot.
That would be so hard.
Yeah, I wonder what you're thinking, like, especially if you're a dude, and, like, you can't land anything near that. Not even close. You'd have no chance with her if she was into guys her own age.
But your dad is dragging Jennifer Love Hewitt across town. You know what I mean? My dad was able to pull that?
And you're just like, Dad, does she have any friends?
What a life some people have out there.
How about this one? This is a 715er who said a friend of mine would keep his drum set in our friend's basement, and then sometimes go over there and practice when no one was home. He's now married to my friend's mother. Do the math on that.
They're practicing, all right.
Oh, there was some banging of skins, that's for sure.
Friggin' drum set. Who would have thought that harmless drum set was just a ruse?
Yeah.
A prop involved in an illicit affair.
I'd like to think
tonight on Dateline. Yes.
There'd be some signs, right? Don't you think? Like you'd go, is he banging my mom? And maybe there were, and they didn't get into it in that text. But
I bet if you're an 18, 19, 17, 16 and a half, 15-year-old kid, whatever, you would never anticipate. You would never, what's the word I'm looking for? You would never be searching for those signs.
Probably not.
No way you would consider.
That's a really good point, yeah.
I don't know, though. I did have a friend whose mom was quite the looker, and he was very aware as to who paid a little too much attention.
Oh, God.
His sister was also quite the looker.
We were relentless with our friends who had attractive mothers. Relentless. we reminded them of that hourly.
It almost became their identity. They were the kid with the hot mom.
Yeah. Stifler was one of those guys.
That's how it works.
You think of?
That's how it works. If your buddy's got a hot mom, you got to let him know, for Christ's sake.
I wonder how that affects you, when you're developing and becoming a person. The older you get, how that affects that constant barrage from every guy you know. And probably some girls, too.
It can't feel great.
I don't know. Maybe you feel kind of cool about it. I don't know, Josh. This probably has very little to do with it, but I'll just go ahead and say it. A couple of my friends who had extraordinarily hot moms, they did not turn out so well.
Well,
but it probably had nothing to do with it.
I think you're disadvantaged. You have to overcome some issues, probably. This is from Tower Slayer Inc. Jesus, who says of the guy, he finds out his friend is banging his mom, pardon the pun. The friend would, under the guise of, I'm just going to go practice the drums I left at your house for some reason.
Right.
And then he ends up with the mom. And I was wondering, wouldn't there be some signs, like you could tell?
Yeah.
And Tower Slayer Inc. Jesus said there were no signs, only symbols. Back at you there.
That is wonderful. All right. We got to get going again. We got to get going towards the exit here on the program, but we appreciate you very much. We'll be back tomorrow at 5:40. We mentioned much earlier this morning, it's National Wait Staff Day. So how about it? A day to recognize the bartenders and the waiters and whatnot. They deal with self-absorbed dickheads night in and night out. So if you go out tonight, maybe say hello to those people. Right, Cubby?
Of course. Treat them well.
Can I tell you my favorite wait staff joke? Ashley?
Sure.
I got this one. I got this one ready if you want to hear it. A waiter walks up to a table full of women who are dining at his establishment, and he says, "Is anything all right?"
Whatever.
I've always loved that one. That one got me. All right, so we had quite a conversation on age gaps and things like that. When it comes to dating, marriage, we talked about, parents splitting up and then dating much younger people or marrying much younger people and how their kids might deal with that. We got all kinds of text messages saying, yeah, my dad left my mom. He was 63. He started dating 25-year-olds. It's just crazy. So the one that stood out was a 60-year-old man who started dating a 22-year-old. And the text message said they've been dating now for 2 years, right?
Yep.
So I got a text message that said, so no one's going to comment on the fact that that dude was 58 and she was 20 when they started dating? And I texted back, well, no. Why would we? Because my line of thinking was, what's the difference really between 60 and 58 and 22 and 20? So the guy says, no one's going to mention the fact that he was 58 and she was 20 when they hooked up. I texted back, no, why would we? And they texted back, because it's awesome.
Oh, so you thought there was like a moral reason for that?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Okay.
We also talked about hot moms.
Oh.
And what it must be like. You know what? We were focusing on the guy side. I guess, Ashley, what about the girl side? Do girls care, or are they just proud like, hell yeah, my mom's hot?
No, we definitely don't care.
You don't care?
Whatever.
You're happy with it?
Yeah. Wait for them.
Even if your guy friends make smart-ass comments all day long?
I wouldn't have cared. No. Well, I did have some friends, actually, in elementary school. They were obsessed with my mom. They really liked her hair. That didn't bother me.
It did bother you?
It didn't.
It did not.
No. I thought it was cute, adorable.
Yeah, I guess I didn't consider it from that side. I just know the guys I knew, they got a little tired of the relentless abuse they would get. This person says, for example, my buddy's mom remarried a guy named Dick. So instead of asking, how's your mom and Dick doing, they'd always say, how's Dick and your mom? And apparently he got very upset.
The simple pleasures in life.
No, I guess I can't speak for all women, but for me personally, I never cared.
So would you ever want to be the hot mom? Or if you were the hot mom as a mother-to-be here, would you be weirded out?
I guess I'd be okay with it. I'd be like, well, at least like I'm keeping up with my appearance. That would make me feel good, but then it would also make me feel weird that there's a bunch of children saying that I'm hot.
The people. Go ahead, Josh.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say the people, the hot moms, my age when I was growing up, they had it especially tough because that song "Stacy's Mom Has Got It Going On" had just come out when we were reaching like 13, 14, 15. So you can replace Stacy's name with anybody's name.
Yeah, but especially the Stacys. That must have been a tough time for them.
Exactly.
God, I'm so happy that I was grown by the time that was the hot song going around. My God, how did you make it through some of those times when the song "Stacy's Mom Has Got It Going On" was the top rock song?
It was on like every radio station, every soundtrack.
Back to stay-at-home dad, Jesus said he can't wait until his daughters grow up so he can be the hot dad that all their friends talk about. And he said, in the meantime, I need to look up how to become hot. You've got some time.
Now, now that we're having this conversation, and have been for a while now because it's a lot of fun, I only heard one comment ever about my mother's appearance. And it was when I was beyond grown, and my parents were retired people. And it took me by surprise. I was at the YZ American Legion sitting next to this old feller by the name of Tom. Tom died a few years ago, and he was such a great guy. We all miss him very much. He had the graveliest voice in the whole world, like that. Hey, how you guys doing? That was Tom. And I'm sitting at the bar with Tom. I have no idea that my parents were going to walk into the bar. So at the time, my parents were in their early 70s. And Tom knew my dad very well from the Legion. But so I go, hell, there are my folks. Tom eyeballs the two of them for a while, and he goes, "Oh, man. Now I know why your dad never brought your mother in here before. She's pretty effing hot." So I was 38, 9, 45 some years old the first time, and it was just funnier than hell to hear someone refer to my 71-year-old mother as hot.
That's cute.
Did you hear it about your sister?
Only from you.
No, it must in high school or something too. They must have been. Yeah, I agree. I was a tad obsessed, but I figured for sure she probably got that her whole life.
Only you.
Oh, well.
Which is why you some bitches were probably meant for each other.
Wouldn't that be great for your brother-in-laws?
Here's a guy who texted in to say his dad got a divorce in his 50s and said, screw marriage in the future, and started dating college girls. This listener says, every time I go to his house, there are girls there younger than me.
Where do you even meet them at a certain
Yeah, right.
Websites, I would imagine, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot.
Websites.
I forget about that all the time.
I do, too.
I didn't even know, Dana, you could specify an age range.
Yeah.
So you say this is what, okay.
Age range, like geographical location, you don't want to be too far away from where you live, that type of stuff.
Okay, we'll shut her down here, but I want to ask Ashley one question.
What's up?
Earlier, we talked about your dating age range. If something happens to Dinkus, and you said it's, between 25 and 35?
Well, no, it's at least, like, I want them to be my age, so 27.
27
Same age as me.
35.
To 35, yeah.
A younger gal texted the show. How would you deal with this? I mean, I have to assume she's younger by the way the text message goes. She says, dating sucks. I was just ghosted. Ghosted! By a 46-year-old man.
Oh,
that's
gross.
tough to come back from.
Screw him.
I wish I thought of this earlier, but I just texted my daughter to say, any of your friends ever say anything about me? Mm-hmm. Maybe she has not got back to me, but I bet whatever she does, it'll be very, very unpleasant for me to read.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think
she's good with the text machine, right?
She's probably working right now, but
okay.
She's not going to be nice to you.
Because I'm dying to hear the answer to this.
Because I'm sure it's a no, and she's not going to say it in a nice way.
No.
Maybe, but Josh, maybe her friends have said something about your best friend.
It's possible.
You're going to get your
partner.
feelings hurt, Josh. Why?
Well,
why would you set yourself up?
Truthfully,
you know
I don't care, but I know it will. Whatever she says, it will be hurtful.
Whatever what she does to you.
Whatever shout-outs you have, do it slowly, because I'm hoping we'll get a response from your...
I've only got one. I've only got one shout-out, so I don't know how slow I can go.
What if I took her out on a date?
I wouldn't like that too much.
What do you mean you wouldn't? Why wouldn't you like that?
I love you to death, but, she's quite young. She's younger than you said you'd be interested in.
But that's before I knew she was interested in me. So are we not your stepdaughter and I, are we not two of your favorite people in the entire world?
Absolutely, but I think you can coexist and not be intimate.
What if the two of us were in love?
Then that's not for me to say, right?
You're damn right that's not for you to say.
You guys are both adults. I'm just saying...
This is going to be the end of us, isn't it?
No, if there's 100 guys in the room, I would hope you're in the bottom 50. I'd like her to find somebody that I'm not seeing every day and I don't love to death.
But what if the two of us were in love?
Like I said, then I'm not going to stand in that way. Oh, no, she's ghosting me. I'm a 50-year-old being ghosted by a 23-year-old right
Ghosted.
now. Happy birthday to Julio from Jen. Yeet or be yeeted, Jesus. And happy hump day to everyone else.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93X.
Well, if it isn't our wonderful podcast listener, the ones that all of us on hams love the most. Dana here to give you a little gentle reminder to hit up our friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning and tune up that AC before it fully turns into crotch soup season. June through August are Standard's busy season for getting AC units up to snuff, so get ahead of the curve and have them ensure you don't have a summer where you pit out every shirt you own. Book in May during their pre-summer heat savings event and you'll beat the rush and save yourself some walking around money. Call Standard Heating today or visit standardheating.com. Enjoy the show. We sincerely appreciate you checking us out each and every day.